It's that time of the year, ladies and gentlemen, where you get the smell of hot dogs and soda in your face, the wind in your face, and also maybe you'll catch a foul ball. Yes, I'm talking about baseball season here in Boone, North Carolina. Good afternoon, folks. Jordan Luker here with Will Battershell to give you not the start of App State baseball, but the home opener against the Gardner-Webb Runnin' Bulldogs. Will, how are you today?
Good. And what a beautiful day for baseball, Jordan. The sun's out, not a cloud out, beautiful temperature, and the batter's going to have to deal with this little bit of wind that's kind of switching directions everywhere. So it's going to make for an interesting game today.
Yeah, the wind has really been all over the place. It's been in our face, Will. It's been going from side to side as we get ready to take the field. We'll give you real quick the Gardner-Webb Runnin' Bulldogs starting lineup, and then after that, the App State batting first, Lawson Knight, center fielder, number 3, Tanner Thomas at first, number 15, Ryan Canal at shortstop, number 42, Dale Francis Jr. is the designated hitter, number 14, Garrett Macias, and catcher at number 14, number 18, Matt Ilgenfritz at third base, number 5, Nick Capazzi at right field, number 20, Aaron Morgan at left, and number 1, Merrick Carter at second base. For your App State Mountaineers today, Tyler Figueroa batting first at third base, Joseph Zamora at second base batting second, batting third, Juan Correa first baseman, left fielder John Kramer batting fourth in the cleanup spot, Cameron Miller, your DH, number 34, number 27, Braxton Church at catcher, batting sixth, batting seventh, Riley Luft, the freshman at right field, Xavier Lopez batting eighth, and finally, Tyler Lichtenberger at shortstop, batting ninth. Caleb Cross will be your starting pitcher for the Mountaineers, and Reed Bertram, your starting pitcher for the Gardner-Webb Runnin' Bulldogs. Will, just want to get into Caleb Cross a little bit starting here. .93 ERA heading into this game. One of the Mountaineers' best starting pitchers. Had troubles last year with injury, but I was at the press conference with him, and he said how good it feels to be back, and you can definitely see he has been working hard over the offseason to get back in form.
Absolutely. And Caleb Cross is a dog, just bona fide dog. He has pitched almost 10 innings, 9.2 innings, 14 strikeouts in those 9.2 innings, and only 3 walks, and 1 hit or 8 hits, 1 earned run. So he's been lights out for the Mountaineers, and if they can get a good 5 or 6 from him today, that is what we need to get right back on track after that tough ETSU game.
Speaking of ETSU, the Mountaineers lost 12-3 to ETSU in a game that Will just sort of got away from them. You know, in the third inning, App State up. It was tied 2-2, and then ETSU got 4 in the fourth and then 4 in the eighth to really put it away for the Mountaineers. What was an issue you saw in that game that really just the Mountaineers struggled with?
So we touched on it a little bit on Sports Wrap on Tuesday, and that is App State just allows these teams to either crawl back in or extend their leads by allowing them to have these 4+ run innings. And we saw it twice in the ETSU game where it was 4 and 8. So they just have to limit those real big innings because those one big inning can completely swing a game.
First up to bat for the Bulldogs, Lawson Knight, number 7, the center fielder, Caleb Cross, pitching for the Mountaineers. His last time pitched was on February 21st against UMass Lowell. Gardner-Webb starting to bat as the away team. First pitch is in there for a strike down the middle by Caleb Cross, starting it off good, Will.
Yeah, it was a beautiful pitch, and he just already looks really comfortable with just a dot.
Lawson Knight in his last game, Gardner-Webb faced South Carolina, lost that game 14-4. Lawson Knight had no hits but 1 run as that ball is in there for strike number 2 by Caleb Cross. It's now 0-2 count for Lawson Knight as Caleb Cross tries to put away the first out of the day for the Mountaineers.
That was just a little breaking ball in the back door and just painted it perfectly.
Cross sets up for the third pitch. It's swung on. That's going to be a high ball up in the air. First baseman Juan Correa is under it, and he'll get the out off of the foul ball. 1 out in the inning off of Juan Correa.
Cross is already up there showing his dominance, and I mean he's just placing these pitches perfectly to where the Gardner-Webb hitters just have to swing at it and pray they make contact.
Now batting for the Bulldogs, Tanner Thomas coming in, the first baseman, number 3. Thomas coming into the game after South Carolina. 3 at-bats, 1 hit, 1 run, 2 RBIs on the day. Struck out once against South Carolina. And that 14-4 loss, that one swung on for a foul ball for Caleb Cross's first pitch against him. 0-1 count now for Tanner Thomas.
And both teams today both sit at 500. App State 4-4 and Gardner-Webb 5-5. So one of the teams are looking to get over that hump and get over 500.
App State technically 4-2 in home games as those Hickory games will count. That second pitch by Caleb Cross is swung on and missed by Tanner Thomas for strike number 2. It's 0-2 now with 1 out left in the first inning.
Caleb Cross has that outside pitch buzzing right now, and that's the second time that he's got somebody to swing on it.
Cross sets up for his third pitch against Thomas. That one's in, and swing and a miss. Caleb Cross strikes him out with the swing and gets his first K of the day for 2 outs on the first inning already.
Hits him with the high heat, and he just swings and misses.
Now Ryan Cannell coming up for the Bulldogs. 2 outs already in the first. Caleb Cross pitching for the Mountaineers. 1 out was already done by Juan Correa, and a pop fly in foul territory. That first pitch in for a ball, and I believe, Will, that's Caleb Cross's first ball of the day.
Correct. That is, yeah, 6 pitches prior, all strikes, first ball.
Cross sets up for the second pitch. 1-0 count. That one swung on foul, and that's going to go out of play.
And Church behind the plate on that ball, tried to frame the ball perfectly. Had a good frame set up, just didn't get the call from the home plate umpire.
1-1 count now for Ryan Cannell. That one's too high. Ball number 2. 2-1 count now for Cannell. 2 outs in the top of the first. As Will said, both teams sitting at 500 right now. Gardner-Webb 5-5. App State 4-4. That one swung on after Caleb Cross pitch. It's high in center field. 3 Mountaineers are under it. We'll have to see who's going to get it. And coming up with it is Joseph Zamora all the way from second base, it looks like there, Will.
Yeah, and Zamora covered so much ground there just to be able to get there. And, I mean, we had 3 people, but he had the best angle on the ball because it was tailing towards the left field side, and he was able just to continue running with it because that wind really did carry it if you were watching the ball carry. And Zamora just had the perfect angle.
I was worried for a minute they were going to collide with each other, Will, and have a little incident in center field. However, they were able to get the out. We're going to take a quick break with the Mountaineers 3 up, 3 down in the top of the first thanks to Caleb Cross's pitching. We'll be right back for the batting for the Mountaineers. Tyler Figueroa up first. Welcome back to Mountaineer Baseball here on 90.5 WASU YouTube. Mountaineers able to do a 3 up, 3 down against Gardner-Webb thanks to the pitching of Caleb Cross. Now up to bat for the Mountaineers, Tyler Figueroa, the third baseman. Then after him, it's Joseph Zamora and Juan Correa coming off the bench for the Mountaineers. Tyler Figueroa up first. The righty batter transfer from Siena. Mountaineers played him last year. Stealthy on the bases. First pitch outside, ball number 1 for Figueroa.
It looked like a breaking ball that just wasn't able to break, and it just hangs to the outside of the plate.
Pitching for Gardner-Webb, number 10, Reed Bertram. Second pitch is in and swung on and missed by Figueroa. A little low there. Just tried to chase that one.
That was a really healthy hack, though, by Figueroa. He really wants to get it rallied up here for App State to start off early because that's what the one thing they've been great at is scoring fast and early.
That third pitch is swung on and missed by Figueroa. It's now a 1-2 count for Figueroa. Top of the lineup for the Mountaineers. Figueroa in his last game, and the Mountaineers lost to ETSU. 2 at-bats, didn't get a hit, but walked twice. Third pitch, in for strike 3 as the ump calls it, and Figueroa strikes out looking.
Rough first at-bat. He kind of looked very, very skittish and swinging at 2 pitches that were just out of the zone completely, and then just doesn't swing at the one that's in the zone. So a little bit of a rough start, but he still has 8 innings to get back at it.
And now for the Mountaineers, Joseph Zamora, number 6. Missed part of the first few games due to an injury, but is back in the starting lineup for the Mountaineers. First pitch is in, and that's swung on by Zamora into right field. Under it, however, is the right fielder for Gardner-Webb, Nick Capazzi, and he is under it to get the second out for the Mountaineers. So Zamora out in right field. And that'll bring up Juan Correa.
Great contact there. Great swing, great decision. Just it finds a glove, and the right fielder barely has to even move.
So Juan Correa, number 42 for the Mountaineers, the first baseman now up, batting .363 so far on the season. He swings and misses on the first one. 2 outs now in the bottom of the first. One of them due to a strikeout by Tyler Figueroa looking, and the next one due to Joseph Mora flying out to right field. Still 0-0 as we start the bottom of the first. Second pitch is in. Juan Correa swings on it. It's going to be into left field, into the corner. We'll see if it stays in bounds, and it'll be out of bounds for strike number 2.
I'll tell you what, these Mountaineers have come out, and they are aggressive early. And that swing by Juan Correa there, he just sent that ball to the moon. It was just foul.
Yeah, and I couldn't really keep track of it. It's completely clear skies today, Will, with a little bit of wind. Perfect day for baseball.
Absolutely.
In my opinion, not too much sun in your eyes.
And I'll tell you what, this wind is perfect for Juan Correa because it is blowing right into that left field fence. So if he gets a hold of one, that ball is going to carry.
Juan Correa had a hit in the game against ETSU. It was a home run for a 2 RBI hit. That third pitch is in for strike number 3 down the middle, and Juan Correa will strike out for the Mountaineers looking as well. So once again, Will, we have 3 up, 3 down, both sides. What do you think? The Mountaineers just need to be maybe a little more conservative on the bat or look at their pitches?
I like the aggression early, and that ball looked a little high. Correa looked at it and looked back at the ref or the home plate umpire and then just walked back to the dugout. So they're still adjusting to the zone in these first couple of innings. So I like the aggression early.
Well, you saw earlier there, Figueroa was talking to Joseph Zamora, probably telling him about the zone. It looks like the umpires are calling it a bit outside right now, Will.
Yeah, it looks like a bit outside and a bit high is what the zone's looking like right now.
So 3 up, 3 down for the Mountaineers. Score remains 0-all. When we return, Will Battershell will take over on play-by-play as the Mountaineers take on the Gardner-Webb Bulldogs.
Welcome back to Jim and Betty Smith Stadium. I am Will Battershell. Joining me, Jordan Luker, on this beautiful day for baseball, as we have Dale Francis up to bat for Gardner-Webb. And the pitch is swung on and fouled behind us.
Aggressive on the bats by both teams so far, Will. Dale Francis Jr., the redshirt senior, no stranger to swinging the bat for Gardner-Webb.
Caleb Cross is looking to repeat what he just did in the first inning. Second pitch is just outside. 1-1 count. The App State defense sitting about base aligned, both infield and outfield. The pitch is swung on. Towering swing. It's knocked deep. And that is Lopez with the catch.
No, it looks like he dropped it there, Will, and it'll go down
That would be an
We
error.
don't know if it will be an error. We'll have to see what the scorers will decide on that one, Will. But center fielder for the Mountaineers dropped it there.
I'm going to have to go with that's probably an
Xavier
E8.
Lopez.
Yeah.
We'll have to see if they count it as E8.
And like you said, Jordan, next up is Garrett Macias. Caleb Cross needs to rebound after that error.
It will be counted as an error.
He does strike one on the outside of the plate for Cross. The batter leads off. Not a far lead. Cross with the pitch. And that is a ball just outside of the plate. So it does look like they are favoring that outside of the plate a little bit more.
They are for sure, Will, but it looks like there's a fine line between what the umpire has been calling a ball and a strike for Gardner-Webb and App State all along, and that probably has to lead to some aggressive batting.
As the ball is fouled off over the dugout and way out of bounds. The count is now 1-2. Runner on first, no outs.
Macias, one of those batters, Will, that just sort of gets on base. 455 on base percentage compared to a 294 batting average. He's the guy who you get as a base runner.
And he just lines a ball in between the gap between first and second for a single.
Yeah, and Joseph Zamora, not much he can do there in that situation with Macias getting the ball right in between him and Juan Correa. So that'll put two batters on base.
Next up is Matt Ilgenfritz, the red shirt sophomore, playing third base today for the Bulldogs. Runner on first and second, no outs.
Ilgenfritz, Will, has a couple home runs on the air, so Caleb Cross is going to have to be careful with this one.
Short leads by both the runners. The pitch, and he rips one, but it is caught by, that is going to be Luft in right field.
What a great play by Luft. It almost went over his head, but Luft was able to come up with it, put his mitt up, and just get the ball just as it was cresting down into his glove, and that'll get the first out. Great job there by Luft to keep the batters on the bag.
And Jordan, we're seeing a really aggressive approach by both sides right now.
Yeah, both teams swinging a lot in this game, especially in that outside zone now that they know the umpires are going to call it.
Next up is Nick Capozzi.
Capozzi,
my bad. And it's a swing and a miss for strike one, as there's a runner on first and second with one out. App State set up in the turn 2 formation.
Yeah, they're probably looking to get a double play on third if Capozzi hits one down the line there towards Figueroa.
They're leaving okay, they covered the gap, and it's a bunt to down the first base line. The catcher creates it, and he's out at first. But the runners advance to second and third.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Capozzi wanted in that situation where the catcher was just stuck sort of there. Braxton Church had to give it to Juan Correa. However, he advances the batters, puts both of them now in scoring position, Will.
For Aaron Morgan, the senior outfielder, playing left field today. Caleb Cross has been really good this season, trying to get himself out of these jams. What do you need to see here, Jordan, for him to get himself out of it?
Well, Caleb Cross is going to have to watch out for some of those power hitters because any great hit by Morgan that gets in between any outfielder will result in 2 runs. Both of these runners on base right now, Dale Francis and Garrett Macias, they'll get on base.
As that was strike one by Cross. That is a check swing for a strike for strike 2. Cross needs one more strike. There's 2 outs, runners on second and third.
This is when Cross has to be very careful not to let a loose ball out.
And it's a beautiful pitch. Down low and strikes him out to end the inning.
That was a nice job there by Caleb Cross to get the inning, Will. Mountaineers able to keep Gardner-Webb from scoring.
And as they go to break, so will we, and we'll be right back for the bottom of the second. Welcome back to App State baseball here in the high country. As leading off for App State in the bottom of the second is John Kramer, the left fielder.
And well, John Kramer, one of those power hitters for the Mountaineers, 321 so far, 9 hits on 28 at-bats.
The first pitch is going to be outside, lefty on lefty matchup to start the bottom of the second.
And you know, Will, John Kramer, another one of those Ole Miss transfers for the Mountaineers, and he's showing he can be just as good as Banks Tolley in the plate.
Talking about, makes great contact, but just no luck as the ball is just lined straight to left field for a fly out to start the inning.
Yeah, that was Aaron Morgan there on the play. Will, John Kramer, unfortunate situation, just hit a line drive right into Morgan's glove in left field to get the first out.
And we've seen that a couple times by App State today so far. A couple of real hard hit balls. It's just straight to leather so far. As Cam Miller is up to bat for the Mountaineers. The first pitch is high. Ball one.
Will, they've had Cam Miller sort of in the designated hitter spot all year so far for the Mountaineers. He's done great there so far.
Second pitch is a strike at the knees. And like you said, Cam Miller is another good first baseman, but with Juan Correa, I mean...
Well, you want to have them both in the lineup.
You want to have both bats in the lineup because both of them are amazing hitters, as that is ball two at his feet. And having one DH and one at first, I think has worked really well so far for the Mountaineers.
Definitely has. Both of them have been great hitters for the Mountaineers.
That is a ball outside, count 3-1. Hitters count early here for Cam Miller. One out, bottom of the second, nobody on. And it is fouled back over the press box and the full count for Cam Miller.
Yeah, he wanted that one, Will. He reached a little bit outside, probably would have still been considered a strike by the umpire. So that was the right move by Cam Miller going for that one.
And that is going to be ball four, missed outside and high. So App State now has a runner on first with Cam Miller.
That'll be the first walk of the day, Will, for both of these teams. Cam Miller able to get on base for the Mountaineers. He's one of those players who you need. He has a .333 on-base percentage, and that'll bring up Braxton Church, who you want if you have a guy on base.
Yeah, the one disadvantage Braxton Church is at here is the lefty-lefty matchup, and those are always more difficult. But Braxton Church has done great for the Mountaineers so far this season, batting about .226, so not bad. As that is ball one. That's going to be low and inside.
Yeah, it's been interesting, Will. They've sometimes moved Braxton into right field and had Graham Smiley in at catcher, so an interesting rotation for the Mountaineers at the catcher position there.
And that is a swing and a miss on the high heat. And like you said, our catcher position is just like first base, where you want both these guys to get reps. So you're just kind of mixing and matching people everywhere you can. Runner on first. Count is 1-1. And that is going to be strike two on a check swing, but called strike anyway by the home plate umpire.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with the umpire on that call there, Will. Looks like Braxton Church did go into a swinging position, stopped himself, but just a little too far to get the strike called.
And just a stay alive swing there, swinging at a ball in his hands, and he hits it foul down the first base line.
Yeah, staying alive, do whatever you can in that situation. Braxton Church trying to move Cam Miller onto second. Possibly get a sacrifice hit here.
Miller takes a decent lead. And it's grounded to shortstop. And it's an air throw to second. Cam Miller's going to try to advance to third. And he gets there in time.
And a nice job there by Cam Miller. A great heads-up play by him. Braxton Church. It looked like it was about to be a double play, Will. However, it'll turn into disaster for Gardner-Webb as Cam Miller gets into scoring position on third off of a botched throw by the shortstop.
Unfortunately for Braxton Church, though, that's probably going to go down as an E6 with a fielder, an E6 fielder's choice, so it won't count as a hit for him. But now up for the Mountaineers is Riley Luft, sorry. Batting .400 on the season so far.
Yeah, the freshman, Will, the true freshman for the Mountaineers, left one of those guys who come into the lineup late.
after the first pitch. The batters or the runners get back to in position. Luft in prime opportunity here to bat one in. As that's a ball just inside.
And yeah, Luft ahead in the count now. Well, it looks like the scorers kind of lost track of it, but the count is 0-2.
Luft sets in, already in a batter's count. And that is a foul tip. Runners on the corner, 1 out for the Mountaineers.
And I'm interested, Braxton Churchwell staying at first, not going for the second on the steal. I wonder if he's just waiting for Riley Luft to hopefully get a good hit here and try and get into scoring position for the Mountaineers further.
A little conservative on the base path so far to the start, which is okay. When you have runners in scoring position, you do have 1 out, so you don't want to get caught stealing. As that is going to be a strike on the inside of the plate, making the count 2-2.
As I was saying, well, Riley Luft, just another one of those freshmen for the Mountaineers coming in. Tyler Lichtenberger, who we'll see later, another one of those freshmen for the Mountaineers. Just a really young team coming in.
And that is going to be a foul tip for a strikeout for Riley Luft.
Yeah, unfortunate situation there for Luft. He'll be back in it, though. We'll have to see him. Made a great play at right earlier.
Xavier Lopez is up for the Mountaineers, the batter in the 8-hole, with runners on the corner and 2 outs. Lopez is batting 143 so far to start the season. We get a quick timeout by the home plate ump.
Yeah, he's just slowing it down, it looks like there. They were going a bit fast for a bit there, Will.
Everybody resets the pitch. And it's a bunt by Lopez. He tries to beat it out, and he is out at first base. So that is going to end the second inning. So, Jordan, what are you seeing by both teams right now when they get to the plate?
Yeah, well, it looks like, I'm interested by the Xavier Lopez bunt. It looks like he was going for possibly to try and beat out the play at first by the catcher there, Garrett Macias, but it looks like he couldn't beat it out. Was trying to get a run in for the Mountaineers. However, we remain tied with no score.
And as they switch innings, we will be right back with more Mountaineers baseball. Welcome back to Mountaineers Baseball on 90.5 WASU on YouTube. I'm Will Battershell. Joining me, Jordan Luker, as we start the top of the third inning. Merrick Carter to bat for the Bulldogs, as that is ball 1. It's one of the first times this game that Cross has fallen behind in the count early.
Yeah, Cross, one of those pitchers, he'll get you your strikes, as he does right there. But then he'll give you a ball. Or no, the ump doesn't call it. Interesting call. Looked like a strike to me.
Looks like it just missed, according to the home plate umpire. He's fallen behind 2-0. There's a strike. Makes the count 2-1. Merritt Carter batting 154 for the Bulldogs this season so far. As that ball is fouled, evening out the count at 2-2. Caleb Cross has just worked his way right back into the count.
Yeah, Merritt Carter, interesting, has a .421 on-base percentage off of 4 walks, but only 2 hits in his 13 at-bats.
And that ball is way out there for ball 3. That's going to make the count full. The first full count that Caleb Cross has worked himself into today.
Yeah, and it looks like Caleb Cross is struggling against that righty-lefty matchup right now.
As that ball is ripped into the gap between center and right field. Carter rounds second and decides not to go to third. So
He
it's going
thought about third.
It's going to be a lead-off double for Merritt Carter.
Yeah, and Merritt Carter just positioned that ball right there. No one was going to be able to get to that one. Not right fielder, righty left, nor center fielder for the Mountaineers, Xavier Lopez, and they had to run all the way back to the wall, and that's why Merrick got to second in that situation.
Back to the top of the lineup here for the Bulldogs. Lawson Knight gets his second opportunity at cross with a runner on second, no outs.
Yeah, Knight in the first inning will fouled out to Juan Correa for the first out of his game.
And that ball's popped up again. Correa calls everybody off. And just like the first inning, he flies out to Correa again, this time inbounds.
Yeah, and what a great job there by Correa to call the other Mountaineers off. We've seen a couple situations there, Will, where all the Mountaineer baseball players are running into one position, but great job there by Correa to wave off his teammates and make the heads-up play for the out.
And that is going to put one out on the board as there's a runner on second for Tanner Thomas as he comes up for the second time, striking out in 3 pitches at his first at-bat. The runner leads off second. The pitch. Then it is popped up into the air. And it is going to be caught and thrown back in. That is Capazzi with the catch.
That was Riley Luft.
Luft, my
And
bad.
Luft has been getting a lot of action out there in right field. Well, he's already made 2 catches so far. Not common for a right fielder to get so much action today, but the wind might be playing a little bit of a role in that.
And Luft has played both balls perfectly so far. It's going to be now Ryan Cannell up to bat. Flying out to second base on that really, really great play by Zamora to end the first inning. As that ball is going to be called a strike on the outside of the plate.
Once again, that outside strike zone the umpire has been setting a precedent for, Will, having a play here for right-handed batters on both the Bulldogs and the Mountaineers.
Runner at second, 2 outs. And the pitch, and it is popped up again. It looks like it's going to be Riley Luft again, and it drops into the breadbasket.
And once again, Will, Luft just making the plays for the Mountaineers in right field. That's exactly how you want him to be in right field, making the plays and also getting hits for the Mountaineers. Riley Luft, a great addition to this team.
So after the initial leadoff double, what did you see from Caleb Cross there to get them just 3 straight outs?
He was forcing him to swing, and he was forcing him to put it in play on that outside lane because he knows the umpire will call it, and that was causing the balls to go to Riley Luft in right field. And Luft, of course, makes the plays as he usually does.
And when we get back for the bottom of the third, it is your App State Mountaineers. Welcome back to App State Baseball here at Jim and Betty Smith Stadium. Leading off for your App State Mountaineers in the bottom of the third, Tyler Lichtenberger.
And Lichtenberger, Will, was the other Mountaineer freshman I was talking about, at least a freshman here. He played a little bit in Boca Raton High School in prep school era, played great there.
As they're going to be ball one to start off. Another lefty-lefty matchup here for the Mountaineers. Lichtenberger batting .400 on the early season. That's going to be strike two, or strike one, excuse me. Called middle of the plate.
Lichtenberger, another one of those Florida players for the Mountaineer. I don't know. You pick up a lot of players from Florida.
And that ball's fouled. Florida seems to be a hub for these
Seems to be a hub for Mountaineer recruiting.
Yeah.
Somehow. I don't know how. I think there's more Florida players maybe than North Carolina players eventually.
The Florida to App State connection is an interesting one to say the least.
They
But
must like the mountains.
I can't complain about it, that's for sure. Especially when we get these great players. As he lines it back to the pitcher, and he avoids it, and that's just going to kind of dribble out to center field.
Yeah, Reed Bertram had to make himself skinny for that one as Tyler Lichtenberger put it right in between his keister. And he had to dodge that one, but he gets the base hit.
Now back to the top of the lineup for the App State Mountaineers, Tyler Figueroa. 8 hits, 2 home runs on the season, batting .286. And the pitch. And it is lined into the gap, and it gets down. Figueroa's going to go for 2. And the throw, and he's safe. Runners at now second and third, no outs. Back-to-back hits for the Mountaineers to start the bottom of the third.
Yeah, nice work there by Figueroa. He placed the ball correctly, and I like the aggressiveness of the base throwing. That's what you want to see out of Tyler Figueroa there, the transfer from Siena. We saw it in their matchup against the Mountaineers last time. Figueroa was a base runner, and he showed it right there for the Mountaineers.
Now, perfect situation here for Joseph Zamora as he has runners at second and third. No outs. 10 hits on the season, batting .417 as that's ball one, low. Fly out to right field, his first at bat. The pitch. That is going to be strike one on the inside part of the plate. The runners lead off. The pitcher sets. And it's going to be low, ball 2.
Yeah, great eye there by Joseph Zamora. Very meticulous in the batter's box. Usually gives the pitchers quite a bit of count when he's in there.
And Bertram trying to get out of an early jam. 2-1, runners on first and second. And it is grounded, too short. Great grab on the hop, and he's out at first, but that is a RBI.
Yeah, nice work there by Joseph Zamora. The sacrifice hit, you don't get on base. However, you get Lichtenberger into the bag for the first score of the game.
And Figueroa stayed at second, so now there's a runner at second for Juan Correa.
Yeah, and that was a nice, good heads-up play there by Figueroa. It was given to the shortstop, Ilgen Fritz, on the play, and he made the play at first. So fielder's choice for Lichtenberger to get to home.
And that ball is going to go out of bounds on the third base side for the first pitch for Juan Correa. 5 home runs already in this early season.
Yeah, and Bertram's going to have to be careful here with Juan Correa. With Figueroa already at second, Correa might hit a bomb here at Jim and Betty Smith Stadium. We're all waiting for it so far with this thin air. David Katzenmeyer was talking about Juan Correa's time in the summer league, and said how many bombs he hits. We haven't seen it yet so far for a real game, though, at Jim and Betty Smith Stadium, but David was telling me how at practice he would see it go beyond the trees. He's never seen that before.
We saw it a lot in Hickory, but we're waiting for it in App State. As that ball is grounded, too short, grabbed, thrown to first, and that is out at first, but Tyler Figueroa advances to third base.
Yeah, and there, Juan Correa, it looks like he was trying to get it up in the air. However, it just grounded there to Ilgen Fritz, and he was right on it. And Tyler Figueroa gets to third, however, on a fielder's choice. Ilgen Fritz could have easily gotten him out at third, but goes for the easy play at first.
Now, back up to bat for the Mountaineers is John Kramer. The first pitch is way outside, knocked down by the catcher, but kept in front of him, so there is no advance by the runner.
Yeah, good heads-up play there by the catcher, Macias. Doesn't want Figueroa to try and steal home. He would be the kind of player for the Mountaineers to do that.
1-0 count, the pitch. And it is just tapped over the first baseman's head. That is going to score a run. And Kramer is going to second. The throw into second is cut off. No throws. A 2-out double for John Kramer.
And a nice RBI play there by John Kramer as he sort of leans down and puts the fist up in the air to get onto second base. Great run for the Mountaineers so far. And all, not just the bottom of their lineup, but the top of their lineup. And Will, that's what I've been talking about. I said it on Sports Rep with just the consistency of this Mountaineer hitting squad. It doesn't matter where any player is in the lineup. You see Tyler Lichtenberger batting ninth, and he still gets on base and scores for the Mountaineers, or Tyler Figueroa first in the lineup.
Yeah, and with 2 outs in the bottom of the third, the Mountaineers now lead 2-0.
It looks like the umps are going to have a little bit of a discussion here, Will. Be interesting to see what they're talking about. What do you ponder?
Could Kramer have missed first? That's the only thing I could think of.
That might be the possibility. As they're talking about it, head coach for Gardner-Webb, Jim Chester, might have made a point of it.
And they're going to review if
they will review it on the first base. So Will, just real quick, explain to our viewers at the home what that rule means for the runner missing first base.
So, if Kramer were to miss first base and advance to second, as long as he gets tagged before the next pitch is thrown, he will be out because he missed first base. And that is why they're reviewing it, because I'm assuming they did tag him just in case he did miss first.
Yeah, so good heads-up play there. It was Carter at second, and he probably made the heads-up play to tag Kramer. I mean, it's Division I baseball. I would assume you had the heads-up for that, so that's probably what they're reviewing right now, if Carter made the tag.
And if he is out, the run does still count, so it would still be 2-0 App State, and Figueroa would just be, I guess it would,
How do you put that on your scorecard? Do you put
is that a
fielder's
running
choice?
error?
It wouldn't be there's no running error. It wouldn't be. It's an interesting call for sure. They're going to call him safe.
He did touch first, and Kramer's out there with the helmet in his hand, pumping his fist.
Yeah, little minor victory there for John Kramer. I'm sure Coach Jim Hester might have seen something that we didn't.
Hey, when you're not sure, it's always good to review.
Might as well go for it.
Now is up Cameron Miller, who walked at his first appearance. As it's outside for ball one. The Mountaineers have all the momentum in the world right now, Jordan.
Yeah, and you have John Kramer at second, Cam Miller up to bat. This is exactly the position you want to be in, even with 2 outs.
The pitch, and it is inside on his hands, but does not hit him, so ball 2.
I just scraped his shirt a little bit there, Will. He kind of had to put his hands up with his bat, do a little gymnastics move there. However, Bertram already had some action, had to dodge it himself.
And they're going to say he swung, so on a check swing, so that is strike 1.
Yeah, the ump's not giving a lot of room on those check swings, Will. We saw it earlier with Braxton Church and now with Cam Miller.
The pitch, and that is going to even the count at 2.
Again, those outside pitches, Will, coming into play here for any Mountaineer or Bulldog batter.
And as a right-handed batter, those outside pitches are some of the most aggravating pitches to have called strikes. As that is going to be strike 3. Cameron Miller is not happy, but that is going to end the third inning. App State is up 2-0 after putting 2 on the board, thanks to Figueroa and Zamora. And we will be back with Jordan on play-by-play when we come back for more Mountaineer baseball.
Welcome back to Mountaineer Baseball here on 90.5 WASU's YouTube channel at Jim and Betty Smith Stadium for the Mountaineers' true home opener. As you know, they played a couple games in Hickory and Lenore-Rhine, but the Mountaineers finally back at home on you couldn't ask for a better day. Dale Francis up to bat for the Bulldogs now in the top of the fourth. He hits a chopper towards shortstop, and unable to make the play for the Mountaineers was Lichtenberger, and Dale Francis will get on first.
Just misjudged that ground ball a little bit, and it hit off his palm. I'm interested to see what they're going to grade that.
That won't be an error. I mean, it was a hard ball to catch there for Lichtenberger. I'd be surprised if they called it that one.
But once again, we're seeing both sides of the bats aggressive very early in a count.
Garrett Macias now up to bat for the Bulldogs. On first, it's Dale Francis. The righty facing Caleb Cross, the pitcher. No swing. It's called in for strike number one for Macias, the catcher.
They are going to call it a single.
They will call it a single for Dale Francis. As Caleb Cross trying to work this middle of the lineup for the Bulldogs against Macias. Macias swings, and it'll go foul out of play for strike number two. 0-2 count now with no outs. Dale Francis on first.
I feel like each one of these foul balls we're seeing back behind the plate are getting lower and lower and closer to us.
Macias right now hitting .333 and in .478 on-base percentage. Had a hit today. Got to third base off of an error by center fielder Xavier Lopez. Now down in the count 0-2. Caleb Cross's pitch is hit right back towards him, and unable to make the play is second baseman Joseph Zamora, and that will advance the runners for a single by Garrett Macias. And Caleb Cross had to get out of the way on that one and put his glove up. Almost got nailed in the face there, Will.
And Zamora almost got it into his glove. It bounced off the top of his glove and just dribbled out to center field.
So that puts two runners now on base for the Bulldogs, and up to bat Matt Ilgenfritz for the Bulldogs. The righty facing Caleb Cross now. Cross has so far pitched 12 2/3 innings, has 12 hits against him so far this year. Cross missed most of last year with injury, is back for this year and hungry. And you can tell as Cross's first pitch is high and outside for ball one.
He's putting some heat on those pitches right now. Throwing with authority out there.
1-0 count for Ilgenfritz. Batting .303, .361 on base percentage. Has struck out 11 times so far. Caleb Cross's second pitch in there for strike number one. 1-1 count now.
And that was a great fake there by Braxton Church to get the runners to jump back towards both their bases, as he looked like he was going to throw it to first base.
1-1 count. Mountaineers lead 2-0 off of 2 RBIs, one of them by Joseph Zamora earlier, who almost made the diving catch. If you're just joining us, Cross sets up for the third pitch, and that one will be low, but in for strike number two.
That's a beautiful breaking ball. Just kind of buckled Ilgenfritz there.
Ilgenfritz now down in the count 1-2. No out still, 2 runners on base. Garrett Macias and Dale Francis. Francis on second in scoring position. Ilgenfritz, the redshirt sophomore for the Bulldogs, trying to get something going and tie this game. He swings. That one's hit to left field. John Kramer's going to have to run for it, but gets over his head, and it looks like the Bulldogs will score. Coming in to score is Dale Francis as the Mountaineers try and get it in.
It's going to be a ground rule double, Jordan. It bounced over the fence.
And it did bounce over the fence there, so Ilgenfritz will go to second, and Garrett Macias will stay on third. Dale Francis will score for the Bulldogs to make it 2-1 now. Mountaineers still lead.
And that ball took a massive bounce, and App State's probably lucky that ball bounced over the fence, because we would have probably seen more runs score there.
Yeah, well, that has to do with probably the turf field a bit, Will. Out in the outfield, the turf's very bouncy. I've been on it before. I'm sure you've been on it before in club baseball, seeing it bounce like that. I was a little confused there, and good catch by you there, Will, to see it bounce out of bounds there for John Kramer. Just sort of went over his head in that situation. Now the Mountaineers having a little mound visit to talk with Caleb Cross, probably telling him to slow it down. Up to bat now for the Bulldogs after this mound meeting will be Nick Capozzi, the right fielder.
And these outfielders are taught, especially here, if that ball goes over the fence on a bounce, immediately you put both your hands up in the air.
That's exactly what John Kramer did.
It signals to the umpires that that ball is no longer in play, and that's why they had the ground rule double.
So Gardner-Webb still down 1-2 against the Mountaineers after an RBI by Matt Ilgenfritz. And Nick Capozzi now up to bat. And Caleb Cross in a dangerous position with runners on second and third. Ilgenfritz on second, Garrett Macias on third. And he'll face Nick Capozzi.
And Cross finds himself in another jam early here.
First pitch outside for ball one and a little high. Capozzi has 1 home run so far this season. 6 hits and 36 at-bats, batting .167 for the Bulldogs, the redshirt senior. Cross sets up for his second pitch, 1-0 count. It's going to be high, but called for a strike by the umpire. 1-1 count now for Cross.
And that's a great frame there by Braxton Church, just pulling it down just a little bit to make it look even more like a strike.
Caleb Cross so far 2 strikeouts today. Earlier today, Capozzi was out on a grounder. That pitch is in there for strike number 2 by Caleb Cross. 1-2 count now.
We're probably going to see Capozzi get really aggressive at the plate here.
Still no outs for Gardner-Webb. We could definitely see possibly a sacrifice hit by Capozzi. He swings and misses for strike number 3, and Caleb Cross gets his 3rd K of the day.
And that was a very ugly hack there by Capozzi as he was falling backwards out of the box when he swung, and it just didn't look like he even wanted to swing at that ball. 1
out now in the top of the 4th. Caleb Cross now facing Aaron Morgan, the left fielder, who struck out swinging earlier today in the 2nd. Runners are on 3rd and 2nd, both in scoring position. Aaron Morgan has 2 home runs on the year. Cross has to be aware of that. He swings and misses for strike number 1. Caleb Cross working these batters so far, Will.
And Caleb Cross has the breaking ball working right now, as that's 3 straight strikes in a row just with breaking balls.
0-1 count. Caleb Cross sets up for his second pitch against Morgan. He swings and misses again. Caleb Cross once again able to work these batters, trying to get out of the inning for the Mountaineers with both runners in scoring position for Gardner-Webb, Ilgenfritz and Macias.
Once again breaks out the breaking ball. Braxton Church sees something and he's going with it behind the plate.
Caleb Cross so far allowed 5 hits in the game, but 3 strikeouts. That one's going to be outside. No strike called, and fans are going to express their displeasure about that one.
You're calling that pitch all game long, and then right now you don't. That's unfortunate there for Cross because that looked like a beautiful pitch.
1-2 count now with 1 out. Gardner-Webb still down 1-2. That one's hit high up in the air. Can of corn, pop fly. Looks like under it is the shortstop for the Mountaineers, and he will make the catch. That was, Lichtenberger on the catch for the Mountaineers. And again, Will, in that second base area, some miscommunication between Zamora and Lichtenberger.
It's not just the miscommunication, too. That the wind is whipping as the higher the ball goes up, and that ball was just tailing everywhere. So it's rough for both players to try to decide who's going to catch that ball.
And that'll bring Merrick Carter now, the lefty, for Gardner-Webb. The flyout was given to Lichtenberger. 2 outs now. Top of the 4th. Caleb Cross sets up for his first pitch against Carter, and it's outside for ball number 1.
Caleb Cross kind of got back to what he was doing the first 3 innings, these last 2 batters.
Runners lead for Gardner-Webb on 3rd and 2nd. Cross sets up for his second pitch against Carter. That's inside, but for a strike. 1-1 count.
And Caleb Cross has done a great job today, just kind of painting the inside and outside of this plate and causing trouble for these Gardner-Webb batters.
Cross trying to get out of the inning. Gardner-Webb still down by 1 against the Mountaineers. However, that strike is in there. It's a ball. And once again, fans expressing their displeasure. 2-1 count now for Cross against Carter.
I'll tell you what, Jordan, the crowd today is very, very nice to see as everybody came out for a beautiful day of baseball.
Good crowd ready for some baseball. 2-1 count. That one swung on right to right field, and Riley Luff's going to be unable to get on it. 2 runners will score here for Gardner-Webb. Macias comes in, and Ilgenfritz will come in to make it 3-2 for Gardner-Webb. So a great hit there by Merrick Carter gives Gardner-Webb the lead against the Mountaineers.
And that was just a good rip there by Carter. Just selective swing. Didn't try to do anything special and just pushed it over the first baseman's head for a 2-out double.
And a nice job there by Carter. Gives Gardner-Webb the lead, 3-2 against the Mountaineers. Still 2 outs. And now Caleb Cross will face the top of the lineup for Gardner-Webb, facing Lawson Knight, the center fielder. He's flown out twice to Juan Correa at first. One of them was a foul ball. And now at second for Gardner-Webb, Merrick Carter, who got the 2 RBI. Cross sets up for his first pitch against Lawson Knight, and it's in there for strike number 1 down the middle.
It's a great way to start the first batter at the top of the lineup again after a very unfortunate swing that last at bat.
2 outs. Carter leads off. Caleb Cross paying him no mind. Righty against Lawson Knight. 0-1 count. That one's in there for strike number 2.
Caleb Cross looks like an airbender out there with that pitch. Just a beautiful breaking ball that comes back over to the plate and buckles the batter's knees.
Caleb Cross trying to get out of the inning with an 0-2 count against Lawson Knight. Gardner-Webb now leads 3-2 against the Mountaineers off of some great hitting. That one's outside for ball number 1.
Just tries to gas it by him, misses his spot just a little bit, and ends up high and outside.
And so far, Gardner-Webb 6 hits on the day. Most of them coming from this top of the 4th inning. 1-2 count now for Caleb Cross. Runner still on second. Merrick Carter leading off. Caleb Cross looks over to Carter for a little bit, but hits in the pitch. That one's hit to center field. Under it is Xavier Lopez, and he will make the play for the 3rd out of the top of the 4th inning.
And Xavier Lopez barely even had the move. That ball just kind of came right to him and dropped right in his breadbasket, and now we're at the mid-4th inning.
Coming up in the bottom of the 4th, Mountaineers will bat next, but they are down now 3-2 against Gardner-Webb, trying to take the lead back against the Bulldogs. We'll be right back here on 90.5 WASU's YouTube. Welcome back to Mountaineer Baseball here at Jim and Betty Smith Stadium. Mountaineers down 3-2 against the Gardner-Webb Running Bulldogs, all coming in the top of the 4th. We are now in the bottom of the 4th with Braxton Church leading off for the Mountaineers in the 6th position in the capture. First pitch by Bertram is swung on by Braxton Church, and that'll go into center field. Under it is the shortstop for Gardner-Webb, and he misses the ball. Braxton Church is going to be able to get to second. Another error in the outfield for Gardner-Webb.
And Jordan, like I was saying to start the game, this wind is going to make those high pop flies be so unpredictable. And we saw it there as the left fielder came running in. I don't know if he called off the shortstop, but there was a miscommunication and the ball just drops right in between both of them.
It was Ryan Cannell and Aaron Morgan both on the ball. We'll have to see if they call it an error, but Braxton Church gets to second with a little bit help from the wind, mostly blowing towards the southeast. And now up to bat for the Mountaineers, Riley Luft, the true freshman. First one in there for ball number 1. It will go in as a double for Braxton Church.
I like that call.
Yeah, not much you can do there with the wind. An error has to be apparent. And Luft now 1-0 count. Braxton Church leading off at second. Bertram looks at him. In there for ball 2. Inside for Riley Luft. Ahead in the count, 2-0.
That's a great eye by Luft, too, because that was a beautiful pitch.
Riley Luft, 2-0 count, facing Bertram. From Boca Raton, Florida, went to North Brown Prep. That one's a chopper towards third base. And the third baseman's going to be able to make an easy play at first. And Braxton Church stays at second. Ilgen Fritz made the play.
And that's a tough play to make. That's a really hard hit, high bounced ball, and he just plays it perfectly and gets him out at first.
And now that'll bring Xavier Lopez in for the Mountaineers. Braxton Church still at second, remains on second. After the hit to Ilgen Fritz on the chopper, gets Riley Luft out for 1 out. Mountaineers still down 3-2. Xavier Lopez, the lefty, now in for the Mountaineers. Pitches in, and that one's hit towards right field, and that's going to be down. Braxton Church is being holed at third, and that was the right move there by third base coach for the Mountaineers.
Yeah, it's a great call to hold him there because I feel like he gets gunned if he tries to make that turn.
Nick Capozzi, the right fielder, had his arm ready if Braxton Church went for home. However, he gets into scoring position off of a hit by Xavier Lopez there for a single.
And we're just seeing aggression early once again.
And that'll bring Tyler Lichtenberger in for the Mountaineers, but it looks like we're going to get a mound visit by Gardner-Webb real quick. Will, I want to talk about the bats real quick for the Mountaineers. Very aggressive so far, getting those hits. However, some of those hits just haven't been in the right position for the Mountaineers, and it seems like sometimes, Will, we're playing catch-up to the hits the other team gets.
And like you said, they're making great contact. Just some of that contact's going directly into defenders' gloves. And that's a problem. Sometimes that can get into their heads, and then the team has to try to break that habit. But, I mean, so far, just this inning alone, they've been able to, with a double and a single to start with 1 out. So App State's right in prime position to get that one run, that one extra run they gave up right back.
Braxton Church stays at third for the Mountaineers after the hit by Xavier Lopez. And coming now in, Tyler Lichtenberger, the shortstop. He got on base after a single and then scored for the Mountaineers in the third inning, and now he's back up for the Mountaineers. Lichtenberger, also from Boca Raton, went to West Boca Raton High School. The true freshman for the Mountaineers.
We could use another single here, too, by him. That would be huge.
11 hits and 26 at-bats so far for Lichtenberger. First pitch by Bertram in there for strike number 1, right down the middle.
Lichtenberg with a little bit of a conservative approach, which we haven't seen much today by the batters.
Lichtenberger's second at-bat of the day. Braxton Church at third, Xavier Lopez at first. Doesn't look like Lopez is going to go. Lichtenberger, a slow swing and a miss for strike number 2.
It looked like he was decided that he was going to swing before the ball even came out of the pitcher's hand there.
Very early there for Lichtenberger. It looks like he was doubting in his head on the swing. As he will get back in the batter's box, down on the count 0-2.
That's one of those, oh no, I shouldn't have swung at that mid-swing type of swings.
Bertram throws towards first against Xavier Lopez. Lopez able to easily get back to first. Maybe Bertram just trying to get in the head of Lopez a bit. 0-2 count now still for Tyler Lichtenberger.
And this is another situation, runners on the corners where the guy at first has not stolen.
Braxton Church remains at third. That one's hit by Lichtenberger on foul, sort of towards the announcer's box. It goes a little bit to our left. Almost got a souvenir there, Will, but a fan will get it instead.
Let's hope no balls come into their box today.
No, it'll be fun.
I didn't bring my glove.
1 out, 0-2 count for Lichtenberger. Runners on the corners of the bases. Bertram sets up for the pitch. It's high for ball number 1. 1-2 count for Lichtenberger.
Once again, the runner on first is just standing there, which is an interesting approach by App State. Did not have him steal yet.
Sometimes you just don't want to force it with these catchers. Lichtenberger swings on it. That's going to go towards center field. And coming under the play is left fielder Morgan, and then Braxton Church is going to go towards home and get the score. So Mountaineers tie it up 3-3 with a sacrifice hit by Lichtenberger.
And that's a great decision there by Lopez not to run, because the throw went to second instead of going home to make sure that Lopez did not advance to second.
Or excuse me, it was Johnson in left field for the Bulldogs. It looks like Johnson came in for the Bulldogs for Aaron Morgan, number 30 for the Bulldogs. So, tied 3-3 now. Xavier Lopez remains on first. And Xavier Lopez is going to try and steal second, and he's going to just barely make it, but he gets the out. A great play there by the catcher, Garrett Macias, for the final out. So we are tied 3-3.
And Jordan, it confuses me a little bit. When we had runners on the corner, he doesn't steal, but the second the runner gets off the corner, he takes off and gets caught. So interesting game plan by App State, but they're professionals and we aren't, so.
Tied 3-3. Coming up to the top of the 5th, Caleb Cross will remain in for the Mountaineers, but we're going to take a quick break with them. But you won't want to miss any more action here on 90.5 WASU YouTube. Welcome back to Jim and Betty Smith Stadium here on 90.5 WASU YouTube. Tied 3-all as the Mountaineers face the Gardner-Webb Runnin' Bulldogs, as both teams trading runs in the fourth inning, and now we enter the top of the fifth with Caleb Cross still pitching. Cross sets up for the first pitch. That one swung on for foul ball by Tanner Thomas, the second batter in the lineup for the Bulldogs.
We're seeing a lot of first pitch swings here by both teams right now, and it's just, I love that they came out of the gate and just went aggressive.
Second pitch is in there, swung on and missed by Thomas for strike number 2. 0-2 count now for Thomas behind. There is a hitting change for Gardner-Webb. Now hitting eighth will be Gavin Johnson in left field, coming in for Aaron Morgan. No changes for the Mountaineers. 0-2 count. That's swung on and missed.
Fouled.
And it's going to be fouled, actually, just at the tip of his bat there. The umpire calls it foul, so the count remains 0-2 for Tanner Thomas.
He had to, reach out and dive for that ball, too, to make sure he didn't swing and miss.
Just barely staying alive. Tied 3-all now. Caleb Cross facing the first batter of the fifth inning. Cross sets up for the pitch. It's outside for ball number 1.
And I like that those second 2 pitches after the first pitch swing, Cross went with breaking balls down to abuse his aggression.
Cross hits that. That's hit towards third base, and unable to come up with it is Figueroa, but he gets the out anyway. A great play there by Tyler Figueroa. Sort of had the ball loose, but able to make the play at first.
That's a great play by Figueroa there to recover the ball and just make the easy throw across the diamond.
So it'll go in 5-3 for Tyler Figueroa, who lost the ball a little bit to get the first out. Now coming up, Ryan Cannell for the Bulldogs.
And that's a great start by Cross. After that rough last inning, just getting that first batter out is going to be huge.
Cross so far in 4 1/3 innings pitched with 6 hits. First pitch is in there for strike number 1 against Cannell.
He looks almost like back to his form how he was the first 2 innings, where he's throwing these early strikes.
0-1 count for Cannell. He struck out swinging earlier. Second pitch is in there for ball number 1. He also flew out to right field and Riley left earlier in his second at-bat in the 3rd inning. Now in the 5th, looking to get a little bit of revenge against Caleb Cross with a 1-1 count. Cross sets up for his 3rd pitch. That one's a little outside, but called a ball. 2-1 count for Cross.
That was a great breaking ball, too. Just barely misses the outside of the plate.
He's caught a few batters with that one swinging. Doesn't get Cannell. Cannell the junior for the Bulldogs. That one swung on, and the shortstop's going to have to come up with it. Lichtenberger will make the play at first for the second out. No, they're going to call him safe, and Juan Correa can't believe it.
Yeah, and Lichtenberger had an ugly hop to try to field that ball and does a great job to keep it in his hands after bobbling it and just doesn't get the throw over in time.
Juan Correa didn't express anything to the umpire, but just kind of looked at him there after that play. So getting on first is Ryan Cannell for his first hit of the game. And now coming up to bat, Dale Francis, the designated hitter.
Cross needs to not be shaken by that and just gets right back to doing what he was doing at the beginning of this inning.
Still tied 3-all. Count resets for Dale Francis. Runner at first. First pitch outside for ball number 1 against Francis.
And they're going to call that a E6 on that last play.
They're going to call it an error by Lichtenberger. Interesting call there. 1 out. Runner at first. Caleb Cross sets up for his second pitch. Swung on and missed. Going is Ryan Cannell. And the Mountaineers get the out. A great play there by the catcher, Braxton Church, to get the out. 2 outs now in the top of the 5th. Or excuse me, that's the end of it. That will be the end of it as they called.
I believe that was a strikeout and
the hit and the throw out by Braxton Church. So Mountaineers able to get out of the top of the 5th with no scores, and will return here on 90.5 WASU on YouTube when they hit. Or no, they're going to call him back in. That was not it. I was just as confused as you.
What is happening right now?
They're calling him back in. That was only the second out.
Both teams left the field.
Yeah, I was just as confused as you there, Will. I thought I had messed up something in my scoring, and now Kermit Smith arguing with the umpires.
That should be 2 outs, and Dale Francis should have 2 strikes.
That's what I thought. Kermit Smith going to argue with the umpire.
Dale Francis just walked off the field like he did strike out. So
I know.
I'm so confused.
Everyone was a little confused by that little mismatch there. Now Kermit Smith having a conversation with the umpires. So it looks like Dale Francis will come back up to bat. I was just as confused as you were, Will, because I thought Braxton Church had made the play on Ryan Cannell, who tried to steal second. But it was 2 strikes for Dale Francis.
App State pulled the trigger a little too quickly on the celebration to come back to the dugout.
The fans expressing their displeasure, but that was the right call by the umpires.
Yeah, that is the correct call.
Because I was just as confused as you on that play.
So did the home plate ump ring him out?
So I think they're expressing that the umps didn't know their own count and then had to discuss it over again.
I mean, if I saw a beautiful throw by a Braxton Church to throw him out too, I'd want to ring him up too.
I think they were so taken aback by the steal by Ryan Cannell and the throw by Braxton Church for the out that they forgot the count for Dale Francis Jr. So he'll be back up to bat for the Bulldogs.
Counts 1-1 according to the scoreboard.
So count will be 1-1 for Dale Francis Jr. Cross sets up for the pitch, and that'll be low for ball number 2.
What a wacky moment there.
What an interesting play of events. You wouldn't have Sunbelt baseball without some wacky officiating going on. 2-1 count. Caleb Cross is outside. 3-1 count now for Dale Francis.
We are called the Fun Belt for a reason.
Yeah, Fun Belt in officiating. As the 3-1 count now for Dale Francis Jr. Tied 3-all. Caleb Cross trying to get out of the inning for the Mountaineers and bring the bats back up. Cross sets up the pitch, 2 out, and he swings and misses for strike number 2. It's full count now for Dale Francis Jr.
Now that we have the correct count.
Yes, now that we have the correct count. After a weird series of events there by the umpires, losing track of the count. 3-2, and it'll be low and inside for ball number 4, and Dale Francis Jr. gets on base. Wow. That'll bring in Garrett Macias, now the catcher.
Cross needs to just settle in a little bit again after that little bit of wackiness that happened after the walk. Still 2 outs, so we just need 1 more.
2 outs. Top of the 5th for Gardner-Webb. Cross sets up, runner at first. Dale Francis taking a little bit of the lead. Cross paying him no mind. Sends in the first pitch, and that gets past Braxton Church. And Dale Francis will get to second off of a stolen base and a wild pitch there by Caleb Cross. His first wild pitch of the game.
Yeah, and he looks a little rattled after that fiasco that just happened.
They think the confusion's just sort of gotten to the Mountaineers, and especially Caleb Cross, who, you're in the zone, you get out of the zone, and now you have to get all of a sudden back in the zone. 1-0 count now for Garrett Macias. 2 outs. Runner at second, Dale Francis. Caleb Cross looks his way, toes in a pitch. It's low for ball 2.
Macias is batting. He's 2 for 2 on the day, so he is a dangerous hitter that Cross has to face.
368 average for Macias. 500 on base percentage, so gets on base 1 out of every 2 times. So far this season, a 19 at-bats, 7 hits. And that one will be outside and high for ball number 3. 3-0 count ahead for Macias. Looks like there might be some action in the Mountaineer bullpen. Can't really see it out of the corner of our eye.
There is action in the Gardner-Webb bullpen.
Gardner-Webb bullpen does have some action. So Caleb Cross still trying to get out of the inning for the Mountaineers with 2 outs. 3-0 count now for Macias as he tries to get on base with Dale Francis on second. That one will be in for strike number 1. 3-1 count. Caleb Cross keeping it alive for the Mountaineers.
That's a great work back pitch after giving up 3 straight balls.
3-1 count now with 2 outs. Dale Francis on second still. Caleb Cross looking for the strikeout or possibly putting the ball in play for an easy out. That one is swung on for foul. It's now full count for Caleb Cross against Garrett Macias.
This is what Caleb Cross has been the best at all season too, working himself back into the count to where now the batter has to swing at anything close.
Macias so far 2 singles on the day. Fans getting up on their feet clapping for Caleb Cross trying to get out of this inning. Full count. Sets up for the pitch, looks at Dale Francis Jr. Takes a long look at Dale Francis Jr. Goes in for the pitch against Macias, and that'll be inside and high for ball number 4. And Garrett Macias gets his second walk for Gardner-Webb, and that's Caleb Cross's second walk in a row.
And I like that they're leaving him out there. Let him work out of this inning and get the Mountaineers' bats back up.
2 outs. Looks like Braxton Church is going to meet with Caleb Cross for a little bit. Coming up to bat now for Gardner-Webb, Matt Ilgenfritz, the third baseman. 2 outs still. Runners now on first and second. Garrett Macias and Dale Francis, who got onto second via a wild pitch by Caleb Cross's first of the game. And Will, just talk about Caleb Cross a little bit. Has pitched 4 2/3 inning, but has 6 hits compared to 3 strikeouts. So sort of hot and cold for Caleb Cross so far today.
Yeah, and I think with the Gardner-Webb being so aggressive, it's kind of gone against what he wants to do because Caleb Cross likes to throw a lot of strikes. But the Bulldogs have been so aggressive, and they're just hitting everything that's into the zone, whether it's out or for base. So he's kind of had to change his approach these last inning or so.
And it looks like we will have a full mound meeting now for the Mountaineers as the entire team comes in to meet on the mound. And it looks like there will be a pitcher coming in for the Mountaineers. It looks like it's Cal Clark coming in. And it will be Cal Clark. So Mountaineers trying to get a pinch pitcher, if you will, here for Cal Clark, try and get out of the inning. And that'll do it for Caleb Cross today.
A rough starting, but I mean, it is hard to pitch up here at Jim and Betty Smith Stadium because you have the higher altitude. The ball's going to carry more. It's a little harder to pitch because your ball has a lot more a lot less resistance on it, so it doesn't break as much. So it's still a great outing, and he still has App State right in the ball game, so you can't be mad at it at all.
And Caleb Cross comes out to a standing ovation. Just to give you his stats for the day, he pitched 4 2/3 inning, had 6 hits, 3 earned runs against him, and 3 strikeouts. Now coming in, Cal Clark for the Mountaineers. The transfer from Charlotte and Gaston College. He played 20 games in Gaston College and also Charlotte Christian for prep. Helped lead the Knights to 3 state championships, Will.
Yeah, and on the season, 2 hits, 2 earned runs. So he's been pretty solid, and App State just needs him to come in and get this one out so that they can get the backs back up and hopefully take the lead at the bottom of the 5th.
He's played so far 2 games for the Mountaineers, pitched 1 2/3 innings against Queens, had 1 hit against him, had 3 runs, 2 of them earned in a 14-9 score. Then in UMass Lowell, pitched 2 innings in a 7-5 win for the Mountaineers, had no runs against him, and was able to keep the bats quiet. So Cal Clark, Will, one of those pitchers coming in for the Mountaineers as a reliever, who's really good so far in the middle of the lineup.
Yeah, and he's that prototypical middle reliever where if he needs to, he can give you over an inning, but I mean, he's going to give you that good inning that you really want out of your reliever.
Cal Clark so far, 4.91 ERA, has pitched 3 2/3 innings for the Mountaineers. Transfer from Gaston College. We're going to take a real quick break, folks, as we wait for Cal Clark to warm up, but we'll be back as the action warms up once again on 90.5 WASU Twitch. Welcome back to Mountaineer Baseball. Cal Clark in for the Mountaineers at pitcher, coming in for Caleb Cross, the starter. The redshirt sophomore. Transfer from Gaston College, facing Matt Ilgenfritz, who earlier flied out to right field, but got a double and an RBI on the day. 2 runners still on base. Cal Clark trying to get out of the inning for the Mountaineers with 2 outs. His first pitch in there for strike number 1 against Ilgenfritz.
Yeah, and Ilgenfritz was the one that hit the ground rule double in the bottom of the 4th.
0-1 count, 2 outs in the top of the 5th. Mountaineers trying to keep Gardner-Webb scoreless, but 2 runners on base. Garrett Macias and Dale Francis at second. Second pitch high and outside for ball number 1. Ilgenfritz today had 1 hit, 1 RBI, as Will was talking about the ground rule double. 11 hits, but 11 strikeouts. Ilgenfritz, one of those 50-50 hitters for you, as Cal Clark sets up for his 3rd pitch. 1-1 count with 2 outs in the top of the 5th. Cal Clark's second pitch is hit. It's a little pop fly, and Juan Correa just has to make the underhand catch, but gets the out and gets the Mountaineers out of the inning there.
And that's just a great job by Cal Clark to come in and just get that 1 out that they needed and limit all the damage possible.
So Matt Ilgenfritz flies out to first base after a Juan Cuellar underhand catch. When we return, Mountaineer bats return as they try and create a lead against the Gardner-Webb Bulldogs. We're tied 3-all. We welcome you back to Jim and Betty Smith Stadium here at Beaver Field for Mountaineer Baseball. We're tied 3-3 as Caleb Cross and Cal Clark were able to keep the Gardner-Webb quiet in the top of the fifth inning. Now in the bottom of the fifth, it's top of the lineup for the Mountaineers as Tyler Figueroa comes up to bat. Struck out in the first inning, and in the third inning was able to score for the Mountaineers off of a double.
Let's see if the Mountaineers can build off of what Cal Clark did to end the top of the frame.
Bertram still in at pitcher. His first pitch outside for ball number 1 against Figueroa. Figueroa had a double earlier today. Has 1 stolen base on the year for the Mountaineers. Dangerous once he gets on base. That second pitch is in there for ball 2, outside and low. 2-0 count now for Bertram as he tries to work at the top of the Mountaineer lineup. Bertram so far, 14.1 innings pitched. That one's hit by Figueroa into left field. However, under it is Gavin Johnson for the easy out in left field.
And that's just a barrel by Figueroa that just ends up in somebody's glove. And we've seen that about 3 or 4 times already today by the Mountaineers. So they're hitting the ball great. It's just right where the defenders are standing.
Now coming in for the Mountaineers, Joseph Zamora, who so far has yet to get a hit on the day. Flew out to right field earlier, then was a subject to a play by the shortstop there, Cannell. So got out twice today, but got an RBI on the sacrifice hit earlier. Zamora facing Bertram, first pitch inside for ball number 1.
And you know how the saying goes, that third time through the lineup is really where you got to start watching these pitchers because the batters can start figuring you out by then. So I'm interested to see how Bertram does.
Second pitch way outside for ball number 2. 2-0 count now for Zamora against Bertram. Tied 3-3. Mountaineers scored 2 runs in the third, 1 run in the fourth. Gardner-Webb, all of their runs coming from the top of the fourth inning. Pitches in there. Joseph Zamora swings and misses. 2-1 count now for him.
And I'll tell you what, Bertram is about at 60 pitches in the 5th inning. So he's on pace to have a really good game. Can these App State bats get to him?
Pitches in there. 3-1 count now for Bertram on the outside pitch. So far pitched 4 1/3 innings. Has 5 hits against him, but 4 strikeouts. So good showing for Bertram so far against this Mountaineer powerful lineup. 3-1 pitch. It's high and outside for ball number 4, and Joseph Zamora will walk to first.
It's a good at-bat by Zamora there to get on base and now let the power hitter on the roster, Juan Correa, get up and try to maybe knock 2 in here.
So it comes down to Juan Correa now, 1 out in the bottom of the 5th. Zamora on first after a walk. Juan Correa batting .342 so far, has struck out once today in 2 at-bats. Also was subject to a out by shortstop. Juan Correa's first pitch is a swing. He made a little bit of contact with the ball, however, it will be counted foul. 0-1 count now for Correa.
This is a great situation to be for the App State Mountaineers. You're right where you want to be in your 3, 4, and 5 batters coming up next.
Zamora leads off. Juan Correa swings on that one. It's hit to right field. Under it is Capozzi, and he nets the ball bounced, however, and Zamora able to get to second. Juan Correa is now going to go to second, and Joseph Zamora gets to third. I don't know what the play was there by Capozzi, but he stopped looking for the ball well, and I don't know if wind had to play a factor in that or not, but Juan Correa will get to second on a double.
So his first step's back like they always teach you, but it looks like that ball just died in the air and was able to drop in front of him, and then he misjudged how the ball was going to bounce because Correa put so much spin on it hitting to the opposite field, and it bounced over his head.
So Juan Correa gets to second on the double there, and now coming up for the Mountaineers, John Kramer, but we'll have a mound meeting for Gardner-Webb. I would definitely see Reed Bertram probably will be done for the day, Will, as we take a look at the Gardner-Webb bullpen.
As it looks like somebody's getting ready to walk out of the gate as we speak.
Reed Bertram pitched 4 1/3 inning for Gardner-Webb.
And there's the call to the pen.
And there is the call to the pen. Gardner-Webb bringing out one of their own relievers as Mountaineers brought in Cal Clark in the top of the 5th. Trying to see who it is as he runs in. Gardner-Webb wearing black uniforms with red numbers. It's kind of hard to see in the sun, Will.
It may be Kevin Pauly. I saw a 5 as the last digit.
We're looking in. He's checking with the umpire. Make sure there's no sticky stuff on his glove.
Make sure that he's not cheating or anything.
So Reed Bertram coming out for Gardner-Webb. Just give you his stats. 4 1/3 innings pitched. 6 hits against him. 3 runs, 3 of them earned. 2 walks, 4 strikeouts, and 4 doubles against him, however, Will.
Yeah, App State was able to get those extra base hits. Those extra base hits really changed the pace of the game. So similar situation to what we just saw at Cross, where you let up a couple big hits and you're out in the bottom of the 5th.
Gardner-Webb bringing in a reliever pitcher. It looks like it's Dominic Guzman coming in for Gardner-Webb, number 21, Will.
And Guzman is a 6'4", right-handed redshirt junior out of Crystal Lake, Illinois.
So Dominic Guzman coming in for the Gardner-Webb Running Bulldogs. We're going to take a quick break as Guzman sets up John Kramer coming up for the Mountaineers. We're tied 3-3 with 2 runners in scoring position. We'll be right back on 90.5 WASU Baseball. Back here on 90.5 WASU Baseball. Pitching change for Gardner-Webb coming in for them. Dominic Guzman, number 21, has pitched for Gardner-Webb so far in 4 games. His last game coming against South Carolina, where he pitched 1 inning, had 1 hit against him, and 1 strikeout. Hey, that's pretty good, getting a strikeout against an SEC team, however, Will.
Yeah, it is. And he had a little bit of a rough start to his season. In his 4 appearances, he's pitched 7.2 innings, allowed 8 hits and 5 earned runs, but 14 strikeouts.
Guzman will face the lefty, John Kramer, the left fielder for the Mountaineers. Kramer so far flew out to center field earlier, left field. 1 out for the Mountaineers, 2 runners in scoring positions, Zamora and Correa. That one's hit by John Kramer. It looks like it's going to fall in between the center fielder and left fielder. Scoring is Zamora. They'll send Correa to home to give the Mountaineers a 5-3 lead as John Kramer gets to second on a double.
And John Kramer did what he just did in his last at-bat, hit a double, but goes the opposite way. His first double went in between right and center. That time it goes between left and center. So Kramer kind of showing off his power, switching between the sides, and once again, 3 for 2 with 2 doubles.
Great play there by John Kramer, able to get the 2 RBI for the Mountaineers. They're ahead 5-3 now, and coming up now, Cam Miller, the designated hitter, the righty for the Mountaineers, facing Guzman. 5-3 Mountaineer lead. That one's a little bit outside by Guzman there. Looks like he lost control of it. Ball number 1 for Cam Miller.
Kramer walked into the plate, welcomed Guzman, and then said goodbye right away.
John Kramer, a great addition to this Mountaineer lineup. Now up Cam Miller, the designated hitter. That one swung on by Cam Miller. It's going to be foul and out of play. 1-1 count now for Miller.
Cam Miller struck out looking his last at-bat.
1 at-bat so far for Cam Miller. Walked 1 time, struck out the other. And his last at-bat, as Will said. 1-1 count now for Miller. At second is Kramer. That one a little inside for ball number 2. 2-1 count now for Miller.
I'll tell you what, Cam Miller may not have a hit yet, but he's done an amazing job at working these pitchers' counts so far in this game.
Cam Miller so far for the Mountaineers, batting .250. Has 12 strikeouts against him. That one's hit all the way to center field. It's going deep. It's going deep.
Come here, Wall.
On in
Here,
there,
Wall.
and it's
there
gone. Cam Miller home run for the Mountaineers. Lost the night, unable to come up with it. Mountaineers lead now 7-3 against Gardner-Webb off of a Cameron Miller home run.
That ball was crushed.
His 3rd home run of the season for the Mountaineers, and Cam Miller once again delivers.
And just like that, App State has put up 4 runs in a blink of an eye to make it a 4-run ball game.
And now coming up for the Mountaineers, catcher Braxton Church as Cam Miller puts the Mountaineers ahead 7-3. And it's not looking good so far for Guzman, Will.
No, this is worst case scenario if you're Dominic Guzman. You come in, 2 runners on, you let both those runners score, and then give up a 2-run home run.
No runners on base now. Braxton Church in for the Mountaineers, swings and misses. Tries to set up the Mountaineers for another home run. However, Church unable to come up with it as we slow down a little bit. 0-1 count for Braxton Church. 1 out still. Braxton Church looks at that one. It's going to be low for ball number 1. 1-1 count.
We'll see how Guzman bounces back because that is a big swing that just happened. So we'll see how rattled he is here with Braxton Church.
7-5 Mountaineer lead. Low pitch there by Guzman for ball number 2. 2-1 count now.
That was a backdoor slider that just couldn't slide enough to get over the plate.
Braxton Church so far, 2 at-bats, 1 hit, 1 run in, and one of them was a double. Now 3-1 count for Braxton Church after an outside pitch by Guzman. Braxton Church, the lefty for the Mountaineers, the catcher. Sometimes plays right field, however today playing in the catcher position. Guzman sets up first pitch, 3-1 count with 1 out. Braxton Church in there, he swings on that one. That one's gonna be hit high in the air. And on it is the Gardner-Webb third baseman, Ilgen Fritz, and he drops the ball. Braxton Church will remain safe at first.
Wow.
Not a good play there by Ilgen Fritz. You have to make the catch there, Will.
Jordan, you have to make that play.
He called off his pitcher, Guzman, and he drops the ball, and Braxton Church will remain safe at first.
And that is 100% going to be an error. You can't drop that ball. That is a routine fly ball for any infielder, and it just hits his glove and drops out.
That'll bring Riley Luft, the right fielder, now in for the Mountaineers. They lead 7-3 against the Bulldogs, one of them off of a Cam Miller home run. That pitch is outside for ball number 1 against Luft.
And they got action up in the Bulldogs bullpen once again.
We'll keep you updated on that situation. Right now, Guzman in for the Bulldogs. Already has 2 earned runs against him. That one swung on by Luft. That'll go out of play for strike number 1. 1-1 count for Luft. Runners on first. That's Braxton Church, who got on by an E5 by Ilgen Fritz at third.
And it looks like it's Jack Inabelli? Is how I'm assuming you're number 45 for the Bulldogs in the bullpen.
1-1 count. Braxton Church able to go on the wild pitch, and he'll be safe at second. A stolen base for Braxton Church, and a nice job there. And he'll get into scoring position for Riley Luft, who is in a 2-1 count now for the Mountaineers.
The Bulldogs going with the left-hander in the bullpen warming up. So going to go from left to right, back to left.
Have a little stoppage in play. 2-1 count for Riley Luft. Braxton Church now at second off of a stolen base. Still 1 out. Mountaineers scored 4 runs so far in the bottom of the 5th. Guzman looks back towards Church. That pitch is outside for ball number 3 towards Luft. 3-1 count now for Luft. 1 out. Guzman staring down Braxton Church. Should probably just focus on Luft, the right-hander, the freshman for the Mountaineers. So far today, 2 at-bats, nothing done. That one's hit way up in the air towards left field. They're back on it. It's going back, and that one will bounce down, but Luft will get to second, and Braxton Church will score. Luft is going to head to third, and he will be safe. A triple by the freshman Riley Luft scores Braxton Church and makes it 8-3 for the Mountaineers.
Jordan, this has been an absolutely electric inning by this App State offense. I don't know what clicked, but all of a sudden now it's bang, 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 and now it's an 8-3.
That'll bring Xavier Lopez in for the Mountaineers. We're going to have a mound visit by Gardner-Webb, probably changing out the pitcher, Dominic Guzman, with whoever's in the bullpen for the Bulldogs. And the Mountaineers will getting hot on the bat so far. And how about Riley Luft, the true freshman, getting the triple, almost had the home run. It looks like the wind was a little bit against him on the bounce there.
Ever since Figueroa got out at the top of the lineup, every single person has got on base one way or another. And that is how you win baseball games. It's a pass the bat mentality, and that's exactly what the Mountaineers are doing right now.
Looks like there will be a pitching change for Gardner-Webb. Coming in for Gardner-Webb, number 45, Jack Iannabelli. And he will come in to try and pitch for the Bulldogs and try and get out of this inning. Still only one out as he'll face Xavier Lopez coming up. But we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with more Mountaineer Baseball on 90.5 WASU YouTube. Back here for Mountaineer Baseball, they lead the Bulldogs 8-3 off of a great inning so far for the Mountaineers. 5 runs in the bottom of the 5th. And now coming up for the Mountaineers, Xavier Lopez facing the new pitcher for Gardner-Webb, Iannabelli.
5 runs with 1 out. And that 1 out was the first batter of the inning.
Xavier Lopez so far, 2 at-bats, 1 hit. Bats lefty, batting 188 so far in the year. Comes into center field for the Mountaineers. First pitch by Iannabelli is in there for strike number 1 down the middle.
It's a good first pitch coming from the bullpen. App State's now ready for it.
0-1 count for the Xavier Lopez. 1 out still. Second pitch in there. Ball number 1 outside. 1-1 count now for Lopez.
That one was in the right-handed batter's box. That one missed by a mile.
Left still at third for the Mountaineers off of a triple. Got an RBI too. 1-1 count for Lopez. Pitches in there, and it's going to be inside, but the ump calls it for strike number 2 against Lopez.
That was a nasty pitch. I don't know what he's throwing up there, but it's that whatever breaking ball he's throwing, just disgusting.
Iannabelli, the pitcher for Gardner-Webb. Gardner-Webb's gone through 3 pitchers. That one's hit towards the first base, and Xavier Lopez will be out off of the grounder. Left remains at third. That was Thomas on the play for Gardner-Webb. And now coming in for the Mountaineers, we are back at the top of the lineup. Will Tyler Figueroa looking for a bit of redemption, as he at one point was the only out.
You jumped the gun.
Or excuse me, it's
the gun just a little
Lichtenberger.
bit.
I saw Figueroa out there for a minute. It's Lichtenberger up to bat for the Mountaineers. The shortstop had a single earlier today, had a sacrifice hit as well. 1 hit and 2 at-bats for Lichtenberger so far. 2 outs for the Mountaineers, left on third. Iannabelli sets up for the first pitch. That one's in there for strike number 1. 0-1 count against Lichtenberger. Another lefty for the Mountaineers. 2 outs. His teammates call him Lich, as he's a Lich on the base and gives players trouble. He swings it 0-2 off of the Lich by Lichtenberger.
And I'll tell you what, Jordan, we've talked all week about how App State needs to limit the big innings while they're on defense, but they've done exactly what they needed to do on offense and have those big innings.
Lichtenberger hits it towards second. A little chopper there to Malik Carter, and he's unable to make the play, and Lichtenberger will be safe at first as the ball gets stuck in the turf, and Merrick Carter unable to come up with the play, the second baseman.
And that's going to score a run, making the score 9-3 on that little dribbler.
9-3 now for the Mountaineers. Riley Luft able to score at third to make it 9-3. 6 runs in the bottom of the 5th for the Mountaineers, and now coming up to bat is Tyler Figueroa at the top of the lineup looking for some redemption.
And with Tyler Figueroa up, that means they have batted around in the 5th inning.
Mountaineers batted around the horn in the 5th inning, scoring 6 runs. One of them off of a bomb by Cam Miller. and the other off of a triple by Riley Luft. First pitch to Figueroa is fouled out of play for strike number 1. 0-1 count for Figueroa. Flew out earlier. 3 at-bats, 1 hit, 1 run for Figueroa. Also struck out. One of them was a double. And so far batting .290. Second pitch, low for ball number 1. 1-1 count for Figueroa.
Yeah, and his double split the gap between center and right.
2 outs. Yanni Belli trying to get out of the inning for the Bulldogs. After the Mountaineers have scored 6 in the bottom of the 5th. That one's outside for ball number 2, 2-1.
And I'll tell you what, the one thing that State Mountaineers have been able to do very well today is use the opposite field. And it's paid off big time.
Yanni Belli sets up for the pitch. That one's hit towards third base. On the play is Ilgen Fritz, and he'll get the easy out at second. So Mountaineers come away with the bottom of the 5th inning with 6 runs off of a Cameron Miller home run and a Riley Luft triple.
Yeah, Jordan, that offensive explosion is exactly what the Mountaineers needed, especially since we're getting into the bullpen now. Just giving that bullpen insurance so they don't have to stress anymore. And hopefully the bullpen can just do what they need to do and work us through.
Mountaineers lead 9-3. Good guys on top with 10 hits so far. When we return, Will Battershell returns on play-by-play as Cal Clark tries to keep the Gardner-Webb bats quiet in the top of the 6th.
Welcome back to App State Mountaineers baseball here in Jimmy Betty Smith Stadium. The Mountaineers lead after a explosion on offense, 9-3 in the top of the 6th. And it's his name's giving me trouble. Nick Capozzi up the bat. Today, Nick Capozzi is so far had a sacrifice bunt and a strikeout. This time with no runners on, as the first pitch was a strike. The pitch, and that ball is ripped over the shortstop's head, and that is going to be a liner to left field, and it is going to be a single.
Yeah, and John Kramer there, Will, just lost control of it, and Nick Capozzi able to get on base early for this Gardner-Webb team, trying to come up against the Mountaineers as they're down 9-3. You need to get the bats going in this inning. It's kind of do or die right now for the Gardner-Webb.
That was a good job there by Kramer to just make sure that ball stays in front of him after he bobbled it. Now up for the Bulldogs is Gavin Johnson, replacing Aaron Morgan. First pitch, little low, ball 1. Runner takes his lead. Cal sets. Checks the runner, throws the pitch, and it is grounded foul, first base line.
Now facing a 1-2 count here, Will. Gavin Johnson has to be careful against Cal Clark. Ever so meticulous in the pitching lineup when he's ahead. Gavin Johnson, one of those players for the Big South Conference, batted .274 last year.
Cal Clark is set. The pitch. And it is just high. Count is 2-2.
Great eye there by Gavin Johnson, Will. Able to stay in it so far. Has to make contact, though, if he wants to stay alive, as Cal Clark will find the zone.
He comes set, the pitch, and he's going to be high. Now we're looking at a full count with a runner on first. Cal Clark finds himself in a little bit of a jam early already. 3-1, not full count.
And Gavin Johnson, one of those sort of players who comes in halfway.
And that ball is fouled back towards the App State dugout. Now it's a full count.
Has only had 6 at-bats so far, Will, but has sort of come in the middle of the games for Gardner-Webb. He's had 1 or 2 at-bats in the middle, and he comes here in the top of the 6th with Gardner-Webb needing a hit.
Runner on first, no outs. Cal Clark comes set. Full count for Gavin Johnson, and it is going to be a ball 4 on the inside. Runners now at first and second.
And great job there by Gavin Johnson, staying in the count there with Cal Clark, able to get on base and put a runner in scoring position in Capozzi.
Now comes the shortstop, Merrick Carter, up the bat, the 9-hole hitter with a runner on first and second, no outs.
And Merrick Carter, will dangerous so far, has 2 doubles on the day.
Yeah, Cal Clark has to be careful here. Checks the runner. And the pitch. And it's going to be, it looks like
it's going to hit him in his calf there. And that's dangerous, Will, as we hope he's okay here.
Yeah, Merrick's still on the ground.
Looks like he's going to be okay. Looks like he hit him in his calf there, Will, or somewhere in his ankle, lower calf area.
We were able to hear it from up here. When you can hear it from up here, it's never good.
It looks like he will get up under his own power. Talking to his coach there.
That's going to go down as a hit by pitch.
And we'll load the bases as he will get up. You love to see that there, Will. But bases loaded now for Cal Clark. What are you doing in this situation?
You're just trying to get a ground ball somewhere because it is now a force out at every single base. And Cal Clark has been pretty solid on getting ground ball out so far this season. So he's just got to go back to doing what he's used to doing and just try to get at least one here. But it looks like we may be getting a pitcher change here as everybody is meeting at the mound.
Probably just lecturing Cal Clark. Looks like I do see someone in the bullpen for the Mountaineers there, Will. Just sort of standing there, not a player, but it looks like one of the pitching coaches for the Mountaineers. I'll be interested to see if they bring someone out or let Cal Clark stay in for the bases loaded.
Yeah.
You do have that 9-3 lead, so you can keep him in there for a bit longer. Try and save your bullpen for later.
Yeah, and it does look like it's, okay, yeah, it is just a talk. So just kind of get his morale back and just kind of settle him down a little bit. Because we saw a couple crazy pitches at that last at-bat. So I like that move to go out and just kind of settle him down, get him back into his groove. And now he's got to take on the top of the lineup.
Yeah, and Lawson Knight so far has been kept quiet, has flown out every time he's been at bat, Will, but is one of those bats that when he gets going in the outfield.
Clark sets the pitch, and that is strike 1.
A great way to the crowd there by Cal Clark. Braxton Church probably just telling him to calm down. And they're going to count it as a ball, Will.
Oh, I swear.
Or maybe that was a scoring error by the people.
Live stats says strikes.
Okay, so it is a strike.
As that one's going to be a ball.
Well, now it's 1-1, so they don't have to change it.
The fans are very not pleased by that call.
Yeah, the fans have been expressing their displeasure. Well, it's great to see a nice crowd here at Jim and Betty Smith Stadium, Will. I can't wait for the Wake Forest game.
And the pitch, and is grounded back to Clark. Clark just tosses it to home, and then Church goes to first and gets 2 outs there. Dream situation there for Cal Clark.
And what a great job there by Braxton Church. The heads-up play to throw to first towards Juan Correa, and Cal Clark able to get the double play. An interesting 1-2-3 play there, Will, on the score sheet.
We love the 1-2-3 plays. And now that's going to leave runners at second and third with 2 outs for Gardner-Webb. The pitch, and it's going to be a strike on the inside of the part of the plate. Tanner Thomas is up the bat. Today so far, he grounded out to second and then also flew out to left and right field as that ball's fouled back.
And what a great job here for the Mountaineers in a great position now. Runners still in scoring position. Will, however, you have a chance to get out of the inning with no runs for the Bulldogs as they were in such a prime position earlier. But now Cal Clark ahead in the lineup against Tanner Thomas.
And I'll tell you what, Cal Clark needed that ground ball, just like I said, and it worked perfectly as that ball is fouled over the away dugout and way out of bounds. Count remains 0-2 with 2 outs.
Cal Clark paying all of his attention towards the batter here, Will, not paying any attention towards the runner on base. Is hungry for that strikeout to get the Mountaineers out of the inning with bases loaded earlier.
And if Cal Clark can get this iced out, this is great poise by the young man. As that ball just misses outside for ball 1.
And Tanner wanted that one. He looked at it swinging, didn't swing at the ball. Cal Clark having to remain poised here for the Mountaineers.
He sets for the pitch. And it's going to be low.
Ooh,
The fans,
I don't know about that one. Again, we are up in the booth, but from what you've been calling,
it looks like that might have been just a little too low. 2-2 now, 2 outs, runners on second and third. And there it is. He air bends it over to the plate and strikes him out to end the frame at the top of the 6th.
and a nice job there by Cal Clark to get out of the inning. He had bases loaded at one point. Well, however, Cal Clark once again showing poise for the Mountaineers. What a great addition to the bullpen.
And with that, we are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, the good guys are up in the bottom of the 6th. Welcome back to Mountaineer Baseball on WASU Sports YouTube. I'm Will Battershell. Joining me is Jordan Luker for the bottom of the 6th inning as Joseph Zamora steps into the right-handed batter box. And the pitch, and that is going to be strike 1 off the rip. We're seeing more action from the Gardner-Webb bullpen. As pitch 2. It's going to be outside for ball 1.
Yeah, they're keeping in Yanni Belli so far. Well, they went through 3 pitchers last inning. Their starting pitcher, Bertram, then went to Guzman, and now Yanni Belli trying to keep the bats quiet for the Mountaineers.
That is going to be strike 2. It looked like over the middle of the plate. And the thing about Yanni Belli is he has a lot of movement on his pitches. So that's the one thing that App State hitters have to look out for. That's going to be a ball as it bounces in the dirt. 2-2 count.
Went a little inside there, Will. And again, you mentioned the movement on the ball. It looked down the middle and then moved sort of towards the inside there for Yanni Belli.
Yeah, that's the one thing these App State hitters are going to have to watch with Yanni Belli. He can bend the ball. As that is a ball as it bounces in the dirt, and it's going to be a full count for Joseph Zamora.
Yeah, you mentioned the bending the ball. Yanni Belli. Sometimes it doesn't go his way. That's why it's a full count right now.
And it's going to be ball 4. Zamora will walk his way down to first base.
That's another walk there for Zamora, Will, but that puts him on base, and that brings in the power hitters for the Mountaineers, Juan Correa and John Kramer. You don't want them on up to bat with runners on base.
Yeah, I don't want to pitch to Carrera, Kramer, or Cam Miller.
You have that sort of power hit up there in the 3, 4, 5 spot there, Will. Usually it's the 1, 2, 3 for the Mountaineers, opting to put Zamora and Figueroa ahead of them.
Which has been good, as that is ball 1. Missed outside on Correa. Correa today has a strikeout looking and a fielder's choice. Throw back to first, and he is safe. Good heads-up play by Zamora there.
And Zamora taking a big lead off of second. We'll have to keep an eye on that to see if he's going.
The pitch. And that ball is going to be low. It's going to be 1-1, or 2-0, sorry, for Correa.
And Correa keeping his eye on the ball there, Will. Usually much more aggressive in the batter's box, however, opting to take a more conservative approach.
Well, when you have such a large lead, you can be as conservative as you want to be. As that ball hits him right in the left thigh as he walks down the first base, perfectly fine.
Yeah, and that's sort of the disadvantage sometimes, Will, of that movement on the ball. You hit Correa sort of in his left thigh, and that'll put Zamora in scoring position for the Mountaineers now.
And that's going to bring up John Kramer as runners are now on first and second, no outs. Kramer has 2 doubles on the day. He did not, that's a check swing by Kramer, and he did not go as it was checked down to the third base ump.
And Kramer, another one of those Ole Miss transfers, Will. Sort of just a pipeline. Seems Ole Miss people like the Mountains a lot. You had Banks Tonley last year, now Kramer.
And that's ball 2, low and away. It's like we got that Ole Miss and Florida connection for some reason. 2 of the weirdest places to get that connection from, but hey, if it works, it works.
Trying to get out of the valley and the swamp. Come up to the mountains.
As that's going to be outside again, ball 3. Kramer's worked himself into an amazing count.
Now Kramer will quiet in their last game against ETSU in that 12-3 loss. But so far has been great for the Mountaineers. Got the double.
And that's ball 4. 4-pitch walk for Kramer.
That's a nice job there, Will. And now Iani Belli in a very similar situation to what Cal Clark was in earlier for the Mountaineers, with bases loaded and Cam Miller up to bat, who already has a home run for the Mountaineers.
Yeah, and this is not a good situation. It looks like they may be going to the pen here. Or this is just a talk. They all gather around. And the pitcher comes off the mound in the pen, so it looks like they're possibly going to the pen here.
Waiting on the call by Gardner-Webb coach Chester. And he does point to the bullpen. It looks like they're bringing the ump out and bringing out a new pitcher, Will.
And with that, he's come out of the pen. He's going to get his glove and everything checked by the ump. Make sure he's not a cheater. We don't want any cheaters on the field.
I don't think you'll have any cheaters here. Gardner-Webb, a very respectable program right now in the Big South Conference. A little bit, sort of a mini rivalry forming, Will. I mean, you obviously had the matchups in football earlier, but now in baseball especially, a sort of a mini rivalry forming between these two teams. Always a competitive matchup between these two.
And I think it's great for both programs too, because it gives both teams the ability to showcase a little more, because I really think Gardner-Webb is better than what some teams might realize.
Now still waiting on the pitching change here, Will. Iani Belli in his 2/3 inning pitch had 1 hit, 2 walks, and then no strikeouts for himself. So Iani Belli will end his day.
Yeah, and it's a not great outing, but I mean, when you have to face against these absolute demons of the App State lineup, but it looks like the pitcher for Gardner-Webb will be Will Franklin, the 6'1" right-handed pitcher out of Washington. I'm not going to try to pronounce his hometown. But while he warms up, we are going to take a quick break, and we will be back to continue with more App State baseball here. Welcome back to Mountaineers baseball. The Mountaineers currently lead 9-3 in the bottom of the 6th, where we just had a pitching change to Will Franklin, as the Mountaineers have runners on all the pillows with no outs. And Cameron Miller, the man who hit the 2-run home run, his last at bat, up to hit.
And Franklin did give up a home run against South Carolina earlier last week.
As he starts off with a strike one on the inside part of the plate. Cameron Miller in prime opportunity to rack up some more RBIs here. The pitch, and it is hit. Line to center field. It's caught by the center fielder, and it's going to be tagged up by Zamora, and Zamora's going to score.
And a nice job there by Zamora. Cameron Miller with the sacrifice hit, able to get a run in for the Mountaineers. And on the play was Lawson Knight, a great play by him, just trying to get the ball in there, Will, and keep the bases from having more runners score there. But a great sacrifice hit there by Cameron Miller, who's having himself a day so far.
That puts the App State Mountaineers 10 runs, 10 hits. With 2 runners on, first and second, we have Braxton Church up to bat with 1 out.
And the fans out there, Will, raising the roof for every run the Mountaineers scored. They might get tired there if we keep racking these up.
That ball's popped up, foul territory, and it hits the net, almost goes out of bounds. But just a really long foul is what we'll call it.
Yeah, Braxton Church, great hitter for the Mountaineers. Is that lefty? He has an interesting form there, Will. Keeps a very tight hitting form there for a lefty.
Hey, whatever works. I've seen
whatever works.
I've seen some weird baseball swings in my life.
Yeah, you know, it's going to have a little discussion there with Kermit Smith, it looks like. But, yeah, I mean, I've seen some wacky forms in my time playing Little League. I had the basic form, you know, but I was a pretty good hitter in my time in Little League. You know, we made the county championship in Little League, but I couldn't keep up with the curveball once that became a thing.
Yeah. And shout out to App State Club baseball team. I have seen some crazy stances in club baseball, I'll tell you what.
Sure.
But it works for some people, so I mean, if you find something
it works
that
for Braxton Church. He's batting .235 on the year.
Yeah. Back in play. Counts 0-1, 1 out. That is going to be outside, ball 1. Score is 10-3, Mountaineers. 4 straight innings of scoring points. Franklin is set, the pitch, and it is ripped by Church. Ooh. But it's right to the right fielder as the right fielder makes a great jumping play on the ball.
Capozzi on the play there, Will, made a diving catch, and John Kramer had to sprint back to first before he could make it. A great hit there by Braxton Church, just an unfortunate situation for him.
And you can't hit a ball harder than that.
No, exactly.
Just hit it to where Capozzi could actually play it, and just unfortunate out, but great barrel there by Braxton Church. Now up is Riley Luft, having a great day himself. He had a triple his last at bat and then scored.
Riley Luft, the true freshman, Will. One of those bats for the Mountaineers. Didn't start the first 2 games, but came in for the Mountaineers in UMass Lowell and has looked excellent so far.
And that is strike 1 on Luft. Pitcher comes set. Runners take their lead. The pitch, and is outside in the left-handed batter box.
Great job there by Macias there, Will, the catcher for Gardner-Webb. Getting that ball, that could have been wild. And we definitely could have seen Juan Correa go to third on that one.
Yeah, and that would have spelled trouble for the Bulldogs as it counts 1-1. Throws it back towards first base, and it's a pass ball. Correa touches third, goes home. Correa's at home. Kramer to third, and he's safe.
And a great heads-up play there by Correa. Just sort of a wild pickoff there by the pitcher, Franklin. And that gets Kramer to third, and the Mountaineers up, Will, now 11-3 by great base running there by Juan Correa. Not the fastest, but a great heads-up play there by number 42.
Yeah, and that's going to be marked as a wild throw that allowed Kramer to go from first to third and Correa to go from second to home. And the pitch. It's going to be down low for ball 2. App State crowd's really getting into it now as the Mountaineers lead 3-11.
It's great to see. I'm excited for this Wake Forest game. As you know, record crowd last time Wake Forest came here.
And that ball is fouled.
Looks like it probably hit. Looks like it hit off Luff's foot there, Will.
Yeah.
As he was limping around a little bit. Has to take a minute out of the batter's box.
It looks like it bounced off his left foot and rolled fair, but it definitely hit his foot because of the way he's swinging it back and forth right now.
And Luft, Will, 8th best third baseman in the state of Florida. I mean, 20 million people live there. That's quite the accomplishment for Riley Luft. I played in Tampa back in my day.
He sets the pitch, and it's outside. What position did you play?
I kind of moved around in Little League there, Will. I played outfield. They liked my arm, and then they moved me to third base once they realized I could throw to first. They put me in pitcher a couple times as sort of like a reliever for a couple innings, and that was it for me. But
as the pitch on the full count, he swings and misses, and that is going to be the end of the 6th inning. Jordan, what'd you see from the App State offense there?
Oh, man, just some great base running. You saw Juan Correa with the great heads-up play there and some great hitting by the Mountaineers. This inning could have been a lot worse for Iani Belli if it wasn't for that great catch there by Capozzi in right field earlier.
And with that, we will be right back for the top of the 7th inning here at Jim and Betty Smith Stadium. Welcome back to Mountaineer Baseball here on 90.5 WASU YouTube. App State goes to Jake Beatty from the pen to start the 7th. As pitch 1 is going to be a strike. 2, Ryan Cannell.
And so far, Will having a quiet day. 2 flyouts. Got a single earlier and got to second.
As pitch 2 is going to be fouled back. Early 0-2 count for Beatty.
I wouldn't be surprised, though, if the Mountaineers close out with Beatty here. A great closer in the Mountaineer bullpen. Played last year for the Mountaineers as well.
Here's the pitch. And it's going to be high for ball 1. Beatty, a 6'2 lefty from Belmont, North Carolina.
Always good to have some lefty representation on the mound.
And that is going to be ball 2 for Beatty. After the hot start, evens the count out. Cannell on the day has flown out twice and reached on an error. And the pitch is outside. That's going to make the count full. Just missed outside.
Yeah, once again, Will, fans just sort of expressing their displeasure. I will say, has been a bit of inconsistency at home plate by the umpires. Calling him outside and then doesn't call him outside. Has been a little inconsistent on where his line lies.
And the pitch. And it's going to be ball 4 So after an 0-2 count, throws 4 straight balls, and now Gardner-Webb starts with a runner on first.
Yeah, that was a great job there by Cannell to keep himself in the count, and great eye by Cannell to put himself on base now and give it to Dale Francis, the designated hitter, to try and give Gardner-Webb some momentum in this top of the 7th.
Dale Francis on today has a single, a walk, and reached on an error. As there's a runner on first, no outs for Beatty. Beatty with the pitch. It's going to be outside and a little high for ball 1.
It looks like Beatty there just going a little too high and outside on his pitches so far, Will. Has to sort of bring it in to try and get these strikes and make the batter swing.
Looks at the runner at first, a very short lead because of the lefty, the pitch, and it's going to be a sorted swing for strike 1.
It was a 3/4 kind of swing there by Francis.
That was an emergency hack is what we like to call that. Count is 1-1. App State leads 11-3. Runner on first. The pitch by Beatty. And it's going to be outside. Ball 2. He's really favoring that outside part of the plate right now.
Yeah, he's trying to get Francis to swing. He was doing the same against Ryan Cannell. Unfortunately, no bites by some of the batters here, and you might just have to bring it inside a little bit to get the strikes.
And the pitch, and he brings it inside, and he swings, and it's fouled back.
That's exactly what I was talking about there, Will. Getting them to swing and getting those foul ball mistakes to keep the count full now for Beatty.
Beatty gets set. Takes the sign. And the pitch. And it's going to be inside, ball 3.
Yeah, he tried the same thing he tried last time, and that time it did not work. As Francis able to keep his bat off of that. That was the same exact pitch by Beatty there.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So you had to go back to it.
We'll have to see if he tries it inside again.
Here's the pitch. And it is ripped down the third base line, but foul.
Yeah, that was a high and inside compared to the low and inside from previously there, Will. It got Francis to swing, but it keeps him alive. Beatty was hoping he would swing and miss, but Francis able to make contact with it. Beatty was lucky that one was out of play.
And Francis was really, really early to be able to rip it down the line like that. Beatty gets set and takes a sign. Looks at the runner. Looks to home. Throws it back to first. No play.
Yeah, it was kind of just a warning pickoff there by Beatty. Just to put in the head a little bit of Ryan Cannell, hey, I'm still over here.
And you could always possibly see the runners take off in a 3-0 count or 3-2 count, even if with no outs. The pitch. And it's swing and foul down the third base line into the App State dugout.
Dang, Dale Francis keeping Beatty alive here, and Beatty having to put off a lot of pitches. That's its 7th right now, Will. Already with 2 batters.
I'd say it's definitely more than a 7th, Jordan, because he's walked 1 already. But that is ripped down the third base line again and foul. That time off the clubhouse.
And once again, Francis staying alive there. And Beatty trying to work in this lineup. Both of them want it so bad. Francis trying to give Gardner-Webb and put someone into scoring position here of Ryan Cannell.
Trying to keep his on-base streak going as he's reached base every at-bat so far. Throw back to first, no contest.
And another warning shot there by Beatty. Just making sure that Cannell knows not to get too confident there on first, even though he's honed in on the batter right now, Dale Francis.
Beatty sets up, looks the runner back, takes a deep breath, throws it to home, and it's going to be hit into the air deep and gone.
Yeah, and John
Way
Kramer,
into the trees.
John Kramer just gave up on that one. And a nice home run there for Dale Francis to even the lead now for the Mountaineers and cut into that lead.
Yeah, it is now 11-5 for App State as Gardner-Webb just hits the 2-run home run there for Francis. Which, I mean, that ball was crushed, Jordan.
Oh, it was absolutely crushed. It went into the trees back there. You know, fans might try and get a souvenir out of that one, but a home run there for Dale Francis, Gardner-Webb's first one of the day, and I believe that's Francis's first home run of the season, Will.
And now Garrett Macias up to catch the catcher.
It was his 3rd.
It's going to be strike 1 over the heart of the plate. Beatty's just got to settle in now.
Yeah, bases, no more bases. Beatty has to just focus on the batter now.
Still with a 6-run lead. That ball is going to just miss inside. The fans are not pleased, yelling at the ump.
And Beatty's still trying that inside pitch there, Will, trying to get batters to swing. Has worked so far.
And the pitch, and it's a high dribbler, recovered by the short, thrown to Carrera. And that's Lichtenberger to Carrera for the out.
What a nice play there by Lichtenberger. Sometimes on this turf field, Will, the ball takes a huge bounce because it's not only the grass that is turf, the dirt is also turf.
Yeah.
On here at Jim and Betty Smith Stadium, and it makes sense for the weather. Personally, I'm not the biggest fan of the dirt being turf because sometimes it leads to some wacky plays, but leads to some exciting baseball as well.
Yeah, and those bounces are really unpredictable out here. Predictable, but unpredictable at the same time. As first pitch is missed outside. Ball 1 to Elgin Fritz. That was a great job by Beatty to get that first out of the inning finally. As pitch 2, inside.
And Beatty still working that inside there, Will. Trying to get them to swing because that's exactly what he wanted last time, and he got it with Lichtenberger. That's what he's trying to do, is get them to swing on those inside pitches.
That is outside, ball 3. He's gone outside, inside, outside.
He's trying to work around the hot zone for Gardner-Webb that it's been.
He comes set, takes his breath, the pitch, and that's strike 1.
Nice job there by Beatty to recover.
He's thrown a lot of pitches this inning, Jordan.
Yeah, he has, and a lot. Most of them were against Dale Francis. I believe that was, 10 pitches in that bat alone?
And that ball is fouled out of the stadium over the away dugout. That's going to bring the count to full at 3-2 with 1 out.
And all Beatty has to do is focus on the batter here. No runners on the bag. Trying to get the second out of the inning.
He sets the pitch, and it is ripped up the middle, and it is caught by Lopez in center field.
And a nice job there by Lopez to track that ball. It was a little low of a line drive there. Not quite a pop fly, but Lopez able to make the great play and make it 2 outs now for the Mountaineers.
Yeah, those are the ones you want back as a hitter. Just barrels it up, but get just too flat on it to where it's just lined out as they have a meeting on the mound.
Yeah, Kermit Smith going to talk to Jake Beatty. I would be interested if they switch him out here.
We definitely have action
for another closer.
Bullpen.
It looks like we do have action in the bullpen.
They're all looking towards the bullpen, so I'm assuming we're going to get a change here.
And here he comes. So interesting move there by Kermit Smith. I thought maybe Jake Beatty would be the closer for the Mountaineers. However, Kermit Smith
maybe they want to save Beatty a little bit for Sunday.
Wants to save Beatty for this 3-game series, which you might be right, Will.
As the pitcher was checked, and he is now entering the mound. Great outing by Beatty there.
Yeah, good job by Beatty there to stay in the inning. You know, you got the home run, and now you have the pitching change to probably your closer for the day unless you switch again. But the Mountaineers will not really the definite on closers.
And it's going to be Bradley Wilson for the Mountaineers, the right-handed 6'4" pitcher out of Lillington, North Carolina.
And Bradley Wilson, one of those pitchers, once again, those closers will, you know, Kermit Smith goes through 1 to 3 closers throughout once you get to that 7th inning. I'm surprised he probably could have kept Beatty in there for the whole inning, but you're right, Will. He's probably trying to save him for another game on Gardner-Webb, probably on Sunday, and maybe even shaving him for Wake Forest as the Demon Deacons will come here to Jim and Betty Smith Stadium on Tuesday.
Yeah, and you have enough turnover period from Sunday to Tuesday at Wake Forest, so he should be good even if he pitches on Sunday. But we'll see. Kirby Smart is a really smart guy, so we'll see what he's planning to work with. And while Bradley Wilson warms up, we're going to take a quick break. But when we get back, top of the 7th here from Jim and Betty Smith Stadium, 5-11 App State Mountaineers. Welcome back to App State basketball here on 90.5 WASU YouTube as Nick Capozzi steps in the box to face Bradley Wilson in the top of the 7th with 2 outs. First pitch is fouled out of bounds, out of play.
And Capozzi, well, earlier had that great play in right, but also a great hitter for Gardner-Webb. Had a single today, got to third.
Here comes the pitch by Wilson. And that is going to be a swing and a miss. Swung so hard we felt the breeze from up here.
Yeah, Capozzi wanted that one. He reached for it. And Bradley Wilson trying to work the count right now, 0-2.
Wilson comes set. The pitch. And it's ripped up the middle. And that's going to be Lopez. And Lopez plays it perfectly. And that is going to be the end of the top of the 7th.
What a great job there by Lopez. Had 2 hard balls hit to him in center. Does the job, though. That's why Kermit Smith put him in center field to make those kinds of plays.
And with that, we have hit the 7-inning stretch, and we will be right back for more Mountaineers baseball.
You don't want to sing?
I don't want to sing.
No singing?
I'm not a singer. But we will be right back after this. Welcome back to App State Mountaineer Baseball on 90.5 WASU YouTube. I'm Will Battershell, joining me Jordan Luker, as we get into the bottom of the 7th where the App State Mountaineers are up to bat, and Xavier Lopez is going to lead them off from the 8th spot after making 2 great catches in the top of the 7th.
Yeah, he can do it all, Will. Make some great catches in center from some hard-hit balls, and now the lefty goes into play.
The first pitch is going to be missed inside for ball 1. The sun's setting, so shadows are casting the field now.
It's getting a little chilly, too.
It is. From pitcher to home, it's completely shadowed as the pitch. And it is popped way up. Towering pop-up. And it is going to be caught by Johnson in left field.
Yeah, nice job there by Johnson. Had a couple misses earlier in the outfield, Will. A couple errors in the outfield, and then Johnson able to come up with the play and get the out on Xavier Lopez.
And that is going to bring up Tyler Lichtenberger, playing the famous Fetty Wap song as his walk-up song.
Yeah, trying to intimidate the pitcher out there for Gardner-Webb, Franklin.
As a first pitch, he attacks it, and it's through the second baseman's legs, and it is going to be a safe. That is going to be most likely an error for Merrick Carter. Excuse me.
Yeah, and Merrick Carter, Will, he had it. He had the play made at second, and then that's why you always run it out. Lichtenberger able to get safe on first with 1 out. We'll have to see if it comes in as an error.
Yeah, it's just one of those plays where he didn't get his glove low enough, and it just kind of hit off the bottom of his glove and went below his legs.
And it will go down as an error there, Will, for Carter.
Tyler Figueroa up at the top of the App State lineup. First pitch, he checks it, no swing, ball 1.
A good call there by the umpires. Figueroa not really swinging on that one.
Figueroa today has struck out looking, had a double, a line out to the right field, and that ball is going to be grounded too short to second to first, and that is going to be a double play for Gardner-Webb.
Routine 6-4-3 double play there to get out of the inning, Will.
Yeah, and that's going to be the end of the 7th inning. Jordan, what do you need to see from the App State pitching for these last 2 innings to secure this win.
Well, you know, I want Bradley Wilson to continue doing what he was doing earlier, Will, working the batters in that count and getting them to swing and make plays on the inside like we saw with Lichtenberger earlier and like we saw with Xavier Lopez in center field.
And when we get back, Jordan's going to be here to close us out on the play-by-play as the App State Mountaineers look to close out the game as they lead 11-5 versus Gardner-Webb.
Welcome back to Mountaineer Baseball here at Jim and Betty Smith Stadium. Your Mountaineers lead 11-5 against the Gardner-Webb Bulldogs in the first game of 3 series. They'll play Gardner-Webb on Saturday and Sunday. Try and close it out. And then Wake Forest on Tuesday. Big game against an ACC opponent. Bradley Wilson pitching for the Mountaineers. His first pitch is in for strike number 1 down the middle. Facing Gavin Johnson, who came in for Aaron Morgan in left field. 0-1 the count. Wilson sends in the pitch. It's inside ball number 1.
That's a good pitch there.
It was a good pitch. He was trying to get Johnson to swing there, Will. As the count's now 1-1. Bradley Wilson came in last inning, got the Mountaineers out of it, goes in for his third pitch, swing and a miss there by Gavin Johnson to make the count 1-2 now. Bradley Wilson ahead now in the count.
Bradley Wilson got a little zip on his pitches today, too. He's really out there slinging that thing.
Gavin Johnson had a walk today, got the third. Bradley Wilson's pitch is swung on. And they'll have to see. Looks like he foul-tipped it, and then it went into him. So no hit by pitch on that one. Count remains 1-2 after the contact there by Johnson.
It almost looked like me playing MLB The Show where you'd swing and the ball would hit you as you swing.
Exactly. 1-2 is the count. Wilson sets up. And that one, we swung and a miss. Wilson gets the strikeout on the swing, and they'll go around the horn to celebrate. 1 out in the top of the 8th.
And we got the Pac-Man noise to celebrate. What a great pitch. He's just throwing straight gas. Nothing but gas.
Bradley Wilson so far has 1 win on the year. Has pitched 8 innings for the Mountaineers, allowed 6 hits, 6 runs, and 10 strikeouts so far. Make it 11 for him now as he'll get the out on Gavin Johnson. Merrick Carter now coming in, the catcher, or excuse me, right fielder. That one's in for strike number 1. Bradley Wilson making a quick work of the bottom of the lineup for the Gardner-Webb Bulldogs. Carter the junior. Down 0-1 in the count. Mountaineers lead 11-5. Bradley Wilson's second pitch is hit into right field. Left's going to have to run for this one, but Carter's going to be able to make it to first.
And Merrick Carter's almost like another leadoff batter here for Gardner-Webb. As today, now that's 2 doubles, a hit by pitch, and a single. So Merrick Carter has been a menace for this App State pitching staff.
So Carter will get on first after a nice hit there into right field for a base hit. Coming now in, Lawson Knight, the center fielder for Gardner-Webb, has 2 doubles on the day and 1 hit by pitch in the 6th inning, has gotten on base every time. Excuse me, that is not Lawson Knight's plate appearances.
That was Carter.
That was Carter's. It took him a while to change on the live stats. He flew out in the first, then had a out to Juan Correa once again, and then an out to center field. Has yet to get on base today as he was part of a double play. Bradley Wilson's first pitch in for strike number 1. 0-1 count with 1 out. 0-1, Wilson sets up. That one's outside for ball number 1.
Knight was the one that blessed us with the 1-2-3 double play.
Merrick still at first, taking a big lead there. Juan Correa looking over. Bradley Wilson paying him no mind right now. 1-1 count with 1 out in the top of the 8th. Wilson sets up for the pitch. That one is outside for ball number 2. 2-1 count now.
That one was really close, Jordan. That one was really close. I thought he was going to call that one a strike.
So Lawson Knight in the positive now in the count, 2-1.
The sun reflecting off the batter's eye. That could trick up the batter a little bit.
Merrick Carter remains at first. That pitch is in there. That's hit towards shortstop and third, and it can bounce over. Lichtenberger went for the play. It was a nice catch there by Lichtenberger. However, he was unable to make the play as that was a hard hit ball onto the turf. And once again, the turf monster comes into play, Will.
Yeah, and I think that should not be an error because that ball was just kind of hit in the middle of nowhere. And Lichtenberger tried to make the play, but he just wouldn't have had the time, and it would have been a meaningless throw.
We'll have to see if it goes in as an error for Lichtenberger. As Bradley Wilson will now face Tanner Thomas.
I could definitely see that being a single.
The second in the lineup.
And it's called a single.
It goes in as a single for Knight. Now Thomas. Runner on second. That's Merrick. And now Bradley Wilson's first pitch against Thomas is in there for strike number 1. Runner on first and second. Knight on first. Carter on second. After he got a nice hit to right field. Able to evade Riley Luft, who's been great in right so far. Bradley Wilson, 0-1 count against Thomas. That one is inside for ball number 1.
And Bradley Wilson's done very good so far in his appearance. He has the 2 hits this inning, but they're weak hits, and he's limiting them. So he's been doing a great job for the Mountaineers.
Has faced 4 batters so far. That pitch is in there. Swing and a miss by Thomas for strike number 2. 1-2 count for Bradley. Now as he tries to get the second out of the inning in the top of the 8th.
And Thomas looked a little lost with that swing. He just kind of flailed it out there, hoping he'd make contact.
He looks over at Carter, goes in for the pitch. That one swung and a miss for Bradley Wilson, his second strikeout of the day against Tanner Thomas to make it 2 outs in the top of the 8th.
Once again, just an ill-advised swing by Thomas there, and it sets him down.
And that'll bring in Ryan Cannell now for Gardner-Webb. Trying to get any of the bats going here in the top of the 8th. So far for Cannell, he's struck out swinging once, flew out to right field, and then struck out looking in his most recent appearance. Or excuse me, walked in his most recent appearance. Bradley Wilson goes for the pitch, and then Braxton Church throws to first. However, the runner is called safe.
That was a good heads-up play there.
That was Lawson Knight at first.
Yeah.
He was caught off guard, and Braxton Church went for the play. However, he's called safe by the first base umpire. And now 1-0 count for Ryan Cannell.
Great play by Braxton Church there, trying to snag an easy out at first.
Second pitch by Wilson is hit. It's a little chopper towards second. Lichtenberger misses the ball off of the bounce, and now scoring will be Merrick Carter, and at third now will be Lawson Knight.
Now, Jordan, that one is 100% an error.
That one will go down as an error for Lichtenberger.
So that will be an unearned run for Bradley Wilson.
Merrick Carter scores to make it now 11-5 for Gardner-Webb. Or excuse me, 11-6.
Yes.
The scores have not changed it yet. Lawson Knight now on third. Runners on the corners now for Bradley Wilson as Ryan Cannell gets on an error by Tyler Lichtenberger. Now up to bat, Dale Francis, the designated hitter. Had a home run in his last at bat. 1-0 count, 2 outs. Bradley Wilson's pitch in there for strike number 1.
It's a good start. Way to start aggressive.
A nice start there by Bradley Wilson. 0-1 the count. Bradley Wilson's pitch, that's hit right towards him. On it is second baseman Zamora, and he loses control of the ball. And a nice base hit there by Dale Francis is able to bring in the runner of Lawson Knight to make it 11-7.
It almost looked like Zamora wanted to turn the double play before he even had the ball, and that caused him to lose control of it. Which I have been there and done that before, so I know the feeling.
Cannell did reach on an error.
And I believe we're going to see another error here.
And we'll have to see. Yes, Francis will reach on an error there by Joseph Zamora. So E4 in the scorebooks if you're keeping score. And that'll bring in Garrett Macias up for the Mountaineers. Count resets, 2 outs, 11-7. Gardner-Webb trying to get back in this game. They are well in this game now, Will.
Yeah, and App State tends to do this quite frequently this season so far, where they get that big lead, and then they let their opponent crawl back into the game in these late innings.
So 2 errors in a row for the Mountaineers is able to put Gardner-Webb back in this game, 11-7. Garrett Macias up to bat, the catcher. Bradley Wilson facing him. That's outside for ball number 1.
Bradley Wilson just needs to settle in. His defense is doing no favors. He's got the ground balls to be out of this inning. Just they can't handle them.
Has 2 runs against him, 0 of them earned. Has 2 strikeouts so far and 7 batters faced. That one's a swing and a miss by Macias for strike number 1.
Yeah, none of this is on Bradley Wilson. He just needs to stay composed and get this final out.
Trying to get out of the inning for the Mountaineers as Gardner-Webb has scored 2 runs in the 7th and 2 runs in the 8th to make it a close game, 11-7 now. 10 hits for both teams. Bradley Wilson's second pitch in there for strike number 2 on his 3rd. 1-2 count now for Bradley Wilson, trying to get out of the 8th inning for the Mountaineers. Faces Macias, who grounded out earlier in the 7th, walked in the 5th, and that one will be low. Braxton Church able to recover it. No one goes. Runners on 1st and 2nd. That's Ryan Cannell and Dale Francis.
And I like that approach, Jordan. Try to throw it low, see if he's going to chase it. Just try to get that easy swing and the miss.
2-2 count now for Bradley Wilson. 2 outs. Mountaineers trying to get out of the 8th inning. It's Macias. Bradley Wilson looks back towards 2nd on Cannell. Here's the pitch, and it's low and inside. Umpire calls it a ball. Full count now, 3-2.
Bradley Wilson just needs to have his money pitch here. Try to get this runner out now so that they don't go to extras.
Wilson.
Extras, wow.
Wilson focused on the batter. Full count, 2 outs in the top of the 8th. Looks back now towards Lawson. Goes in for the pitch. That's one swung on. It's going to be in right field. Luft is running towards it, and Luft makes the catch! What an out there by Riley Luft for the Mountaineers to get out of the inning!
Riley Luft has been an absolute monster today. In the field, at the batter's box, everything. Riley Luft has proven why he's a starter on this team.
Diving play there by Riley Luft to get the Mountaineers out of the inning. We'll take a quick break, and when we return, bats return for the Mountaineers. They lead 11-7. Bottom of the 8th inning for the Mountaineers as they lead 11-7 against Gardner-Webb. Staying in as pitcher for Gardner-Webb, Will Franklin. And coming in for the Mountaineers to bat, Joseph Zamora, the second baseman. Mountaineers still leading against Gardner-Webb. However, they've inched their way closer as they scored 2 runs in the 7th, 2 runs in the 8th to make it 7 for them off of 10 hits, 4 of them. 4 errors for the Mountaineers and 4 errors for Gardner-Webb. A big error game as Joseph Zamora will come in for the batter's box.
Yeah, the turf monster's really eating them alive today.
Zamora so far today walked twice. Walked once in the 5th and once in the 6th. Joseph Zamora goes for the bunt, and it catches them off guard. On the pitch is Franklin, and he's able to get the out at first. However, Zamora sort of caught him off guard there. Franklin able to get the play, though.
Yeah, and you know, I don't hate it, Jordan. Because
I don't hate it either.
Nobody was ready for the bunt there, and he almost beat it out.
Yeah, Franklin able to make the play. That'll bring up Juan Correa now for the Mountaineers with 1 out in the bottom of the 8th. Juan Correa had a home run against ETSU. Here's the pitch by Franklin. That one's inside for ball number 1.
And I don't know how much of a difference it's going to make, but almost the whole field now is covered in shade as the sun sets.
Juan Correa already has 5 home runs on the year. Here's the pitch by Franklin. That one's outside for ball number 2.
Very patient at bat here by Juan Correa.
Juan Correa has been a little patient today. Well, usually not as patient. 395 on base percentage for Juan Correa, 359. Here's the pitch. He swings and misses. There's that aggressiveness from Juan Correa we were seeing.
Just on key.
Just on cue for Juan Correa. 2-1 count, still ahead. Mountaineers leading 11-7 against Gardner-Webb. Coming from 6 runs in the 5th inning. That one swung on and missed for Juan Correa for strike 2. It's now 2-2, count even.
That was just a defensive, oh no, that's going to hit me swing.
And it looks like he did do that. Juan Correa with a double today. Got hit by a pitch in the 6th. That was his most recent at bat. There's the pitch for full count. That's low for ball 3. Full count for Correa.
That was a good 2-2 pitch there.
Full count now. Correa swings. That one's towards center field. It's going back. Lawson Knight's on it, and that'll be caught by Lawson Knight. Fans got up on their feet. However, Juan Correa will go out to fly out in center field.
And that ball was ripped. Like, if he got a little more under it, we might be yelling a home run right now. But just unfortunate again. It's just the theme of today for App State. A lot of hard-hit balls that are just right to the outfielders.
So we'll have to wait for the Juan Correa debut home run here in Jim and Betty Smith Stadium. 2 outs now in the bottom of the 8th. Mountaineers still up 11-7. Coming into bat for the Mountaineers now, John Kramer. Walked in his latest appearance in the 6th inning. Got a double in the 5th and a double in the 3rd.
That was a good hack by him for strike 1 on that foul.
0-1 count for Kramer with 2 outs. No one on base. Kramer swings. That one's also sort of in between left and center field. Coming under it is Knight and Johnson misses the catch, and Kramer will head to second for a double.
That ball carried a lot farther than I expected it to. It looked like it was going to be a routine pop fly, and then I look up, and both the outfielders are running in the gap trying to catch that ball.
So a double for John Kramer, puts him in scoring position and brings in Cam Miller, who already has a home run today. 2 outs in the bottom of the 8th. Cam Miller coming up for the Mountaineers, the designated hitter. Trying to put it away for the Mountaineers, hopefully, in the bottom of the 8th. Taking a big lead is John Kramer on second. Franklin looks back towards Kramer. Now looks towards Miller. Goes in the pitch. Miller stands off and will get ball number 1.
And Miller's just going to be patient here. This is what he's done all game, is just take a bunch of pitches and draw up that pitch count.
Cam Miller has 3 RBIs already today in 2 at-bats. Now in his 3rd, looking for another hit. That one is outside for ball number 2. Great eyes there by Cam Miller.
This is what he does. He's just one of the most patient batters on the team, and that's why you want to keep him in the lineup, even if he's not playing first base.
11-7 Mountaineer lead. 2 outs in the bottom of the 8th. Cam Miller swings and misses on that one. He wanted that one, just sort of reached for it there.
And as I say patience, he just swings for the fences and just misses it.
Yeah, we said that about Correa too. So 2-1 count. Cam Miller still ahead with 2 outs. John Kramer on second. Looking back at him is Franklin. Franklin sets up for the pitch. That one swung on towards left field, and it's going to bounce down. They're sending Kramer home, and Kramer will score for the Mountaineers to make it 12-7 off of a nice RBI single by Cam Miller into left field.
And Jordan, we were talking over the break about how we love how this lineup has been constructed for the App State offense. And it just shows this Kramer to Cam Miller duo has been deadly for us today.
And so that'll bring in Braxton Church for the Mountaineers, who now lead 12-7 in the bottom of the 8th with 2 outs. Church trying to keep the 2-out rally going for the Mountaineers. Has 1 hit today and 4 at-bats. So far, has 5 doubles on the year. Could be a problem for Will Franklin, who so far has pitched 2 2/3 innings. Tries to get Cameron Miller at first. Cameron Miller, however, has a heads-up play and able to dive back towards first.
Yeah.
Now he looks back towards Miller. Now focuses in on Church. Pitches in for Church. That one swung on back and out of play for strike number 1 off a foul ball.
And like I was saying, Kermit Smith has just done an amazing job constructing and breaking down this offensive lineup to where there's just RBI hitters everywhere.
Yeah, you really don't have a weak spot in the lineup, in my opinion.
I
mean, you
100%
have the
agree.
power lineup of Correa, Kramer, and Miller, but then you have Church, and then Luft, Lopez, and Lichtenberger, all great hitters. Second pitch in there, strike number 2 as Braxton Church swings and misses.
And then you have your speedy guy in Figueroa leading off. So if he gets on base, you might get a stolen base or just a first to home on a single.
2 outs in the bottom of the 8th. Mountaineers lead 12-7. 0-2 count now for Braxton Church with Cam Miller on first. Franklin sets up for the pitch. That one's in. Braxton Church hits it towards second. A hard hit ball for Carter, but he's able to get the out at first towards Tanner Thomas. And that'll do it for the bottom of the 8th.
And that was a great just fielding there by Carter because the ball does not slow down when it hits the turf. And that ball came off that bat hot. And he just fields it with his body and gets him out at first.
So Mountaineers able to get 1 run off of 2 hits and no errors. Good guys on top, 12-7. As we enter the top of the 9th and the Mountaineers try and close it out, Bradley Wilson will be on the mound. Welcome back to App State Baseball here at Jim and Betty Smith Stadium. A little change for the Mountaineers. Bradley Wilson remains on the mound. However, now at third, number 10, Tanner McCammon for the Mountaineers, as Engelfritz will try and get the bats going for Gardner-Webb, who tries to stay in this game. We are in the top of the 9th. Bradley Wilson trying to close it out for the Mountaineers.
Yeah, and I like that they're allowing these new fielders to get onto the field. If they have a 5-point lead, so might as well just let them get some more experience in the top of the 9th.
Tanner McCammon coming in for Tyler Figueroa at third. And now Engelfritz will come in for Gardner-Webb. Gardner-Webb still well in this game. They're only down 12-7 against the Mountaineers. Off of 10 hits, both teams. 4 errors on the day for both Mountaineers and Gardner-Webb. Engelfritz, the redshirt sophomore, up against Bradley Wilson, who so far has pitched 1 1/3 inning, has allowed 2 hits, 2 runs, none of them earned, however. And that first pitch is hit by Engelfritz, foul for strike number 1.
And Jordan, we have a crazy shift on by the App State's defense right now, as we have a third baseman, a shortstop, and another shortstop.
Yeah, an interesting work there as Engelfritz, the right-handed batter. Mountaineers hoping to get the easy play at first. 0-1 count for Bradley Wilson as he pitches to Engelfritz. That one is hit right towards Bradley Wilson, and unable to make the play is Joseph Zamora, who was in sort of that second shortstop position. So an easy base hit for Engelfritz puts him on first.
Yeah, and even if Zamora was in the correct position at second base,
That
I
would have been
still
a hard
think
play
it's
to
a hit.
make.
Yeah, so I think that's a hit either way.
It will go down as a base hit for Engelfritz. So Bradley Wilson now facing Nick Capozzi, the redshirt senior for Gardner-Webb, the righty. This time Zamora goes back to his spot at second. Capozzi lined out to center in the 7th, had a single in the 6th. Bradley Wilson sets up at first now as Engelfritz. That first pitch is in there for strike number 1. 0-1 count now against Capozzi.
And Bradley Wilson's done a great job this game by just staying aggressive trying to get those first pitch strikes every single time.
Bradley Wilson, 3.12 ERA. That one's hit to right field. Riley Luft unable to dive on that one for a base hit, and staying at second is Engelfritz.
Yep, and there's not much you can do. The ball just kind of drops in the gap, and now we have runners at first and second with no outs.
Engelfritz at second. Now at first, Nick Capozzi off of the base hit. A nice hit ball in the middle of center field and right field. Left was unable to dive for that one. And now batting Gavin Johnson. Or excuse me, Ethan Lau coming in now in the 8th spot for Gardner-Webb. A hitting change there. The redshirt junior, Lau, coming in for the first time for the Bulldogs.
And he is batting on the right side, 6'1", from Dublin, California.
Not Dublin, Ireland. Ethan Lau coming in for Gardner-Webb. We'll get you more on him once the live stats update. Hitting .333 on the year so far. Has only had 3 at-bats, but coming in now for Gardner-Webb as a pinch hitter. Lau sets up the righty. Bradley Wilson sets up now. No outs in the top of the 9th. Bradley Wilson looks towards second, goes in for the pitch. That one's inside for ball 1 against Lau.
And they must like something about the matchup here, Gardner-Webb, because you don't just substitute players to substitute them when you have runners in scoring position with no outs.
On second is Engelfritz. On first is Capozzi. Both of them getting on by nice base hit singles. Bradley Wilson sets up for a second switch. Lau hits that one high into center field. Lopez is under it, calls for it. Lopez makes the catch. Engelfritz does not run to third, and runners stay on second and first.
That's a great job by Lopez there. He's been doing a great job in center field all day and just continues it. And it was shallow enough to where the runner at second can't tag.
And now Merrick Carter will come in for Gardner-Webb. Got on last time, hit by pitch, and also had a single earlier. Trying to get Gardner-Webb bats going. They're down 12-7 to the Mountaineers. Already have no runs so far in the inning.
Yeah, Carter his on-base percentage so far today is 1,000. 2 doubles, a hit by pitch, and a single.
Wilson looks towards second. That one's outside for ball number 1 against Carter.
Even if he pitches around him slightly and walks him, I wouldn't be against it right now.
Carter has 2 doubles on the day and a single in the 8th. Doubles came in the 3rd and the 4th. Wilson looks towards second, back towards Engelfritz. Here comes the second pitch. That one is low for ball number 2.
Seems like they got about the idea I was thinking too. Just kind of pitch around him, make him swing.
Mountaineers with a 5-run lead. 12 hits for both teams, 4 errors for both teams. Mountaineers able to make the bats count more than Gardner-Webb. That pitch is swung on and hit foul out towards the broadcaster booth. Count now 2-1.
Hopefully nobody parked their cars close because that type of ball aims for a car every single time.
Yeah, cars parked right outside Jim and Betty Smith Stadium. As it's 2-1 now for Merrick Carter. And Wilson looking towards Engelfritz, stares him down, goes for the 3rd pitch. That one is down the middle for strike number 2. It's a 2-2 count.
It's a great pitch there. Just textbook 2-1 pitch, and now he evens it out.
1 out in the top of the 9th. Bradley Wilson trying to make it 2 against Merrick Carter. 2 runners on base. He looks back towards second. Here's the 2-2. That one swung on and hit high up in the air. Running towards it is McCammon. It's foul. However, it's going to be out of play and hits the roof of the training facility.
We're seeing a lot of towering pop flies today.
And the air is thin up here at Beaver Field. So count remains 2-2 for Bradley Wilson facing Carter after the foul ball. Wilson has so far faced 11 batters. Has given up 2 runs. None of them earned, however, after the Mountaineers had 2 errors in the 8th inning. 2-2 count for Bradley Wilson. Trying to make it 2 outs with runners on first and second. Looks back towards Engelfritz, now sets up for the pitch. Looks back again towards Engelfritz. Lichtenberger gets back towards short. That one swung on towards right field. Under it is Luft, and he'll just let it bounce, however, and the runners will advance. No one will score. Luft tries to get the play at first towards Juan Correa. However, Merrick Carter able to get on first. And you know what, Will? I don't blame Luft for that one, as if he made the catch, he might have gotten an error for himself there, but Luft unable to make the catch and run under it. You don't really want to make a diving play and risk an injury in this situation.
No, or if you dive for that and the ball passes you 2
then
to 3
you get 2 runs scored.
At least 2. The 3rd one might have scored 2. It depends on how Lopez would be backing him up. So yeah, I don't mind him letting the ball drop in front of him at all.
It will go in as a single there, and coming up to bat now, Lawson Knight. It looks like we're going to have a pitching change for the Mountaineers coming in now. And Bradley Wilson has done a great job for the Mountaineers. 5 hits against him in 1 2/3 inning. 2 runs scored, however, both of them on errors, so none of the runs will come in. And now coming in for the Mountaineers, pitching number 46, Jordan Fisher, will close it out for the Mountaineers as he has before against UMass Lowell, as Bradley Wilson will get a standing ovation from the fans here at Beaver Field.
And you talk about lights out. Jordan Fisher is that lights out
guy. So Jordan Fisher up to pitch for the Mountaineers. We'll have more information on him when we come back here on 90.5 WASU on YouTube. Back here for Mountaineer baseball here at Beaver Field. Jim and Betty Smith Stadium, 1 out in the top of the ninth. Mountaineers trying to close it away against Gardner-Webb as they lead 12-7. Coming in for the Mountaineers to close it all down for them, Jordan Fisher, who's pitched 5 innings so far with 0 earned runs, and he's exactly the closer you want, with number 7 coming in, Lawson Knight for Gardner-Webb. Bases loaded, and we'll get set to start the second half of the ninth inning here. 1 out for Jordan Fisher.
And he has 2 saves on the year so far. I'm not sure if this would be considered a third, but it's pretty close.
3 base hits for Gardner-Webb so far in this inning. Strike 1 is outside for Jordan Fisher, trying to stow it away for the Mountaineers.
Actually, bases are loaded. I believe this would be a save.
Or they call it a ball. So 1-0 count for Jordan Fisher. Or excuse me, it's 0-1 now for Jordan Fisher. I should trust my gut, not the scoreboard. Jordan Fisher sets it for the second pitch. That one is outside, however, for a ball. 1-1 count. You know, I played for 11 years. Should probably know that.
Yeah.
1-1 count with 1 out. Jordan Fisher sets up with bases loaded. 12-7 lead for the Mountaineers. Gardner-Webb has 13 hits. Mountaineers have 12. Jordan Fisher sets it for the third pitch. That one swung foul for strike number 2.
Into the trees.
Into the trees indeed. 1-2 count now for Jordan Fisher facing Lawson Knight. Bases loaded. Trying to save it here for the Mountaineers. As Gardner-Webb's down by only 5. Lawson Knight swings and misses for a strikeout. A swing and miss strikeout. And Jordan Fisher's 1 out away from saving it for the Mountaineers as he faces Tanner Thomas, the first baseman. That
pitch, Jordan, was gross. That move.
Oh, it was absolutely disgusting. However, it gets the out for the Mountaineers, and 2 outs now. Jordan Fisher away from saving it for the Mountaineers with bases loaded.
It was just a slider that walked away into the left-handed batter's box, and he got Knight the chase.
He'll face the righty, Tanner Thomas, the junior. 2 outs now. Mountaineers lead 12-7. That one's outside for ball number 1.
I think if Church catches that might have been called a strike, but it hit the bottom of his glove.
Was a little outside. 1-0 count for Thomas. Fisher sets up. Got that one swinging. That's a 1-1 count after the foul ball. Jordan Fisher for the Mountaineers has pitched so far in 4 games. His most recent coming in a game against UMass Lowell on February 23rd. Had pitched 1 1/3 inning there. 1-1 count with 2 outs. Fisher sets up, paying no mind to the runners on base. Looks at the batter, swing and a miss for strike number 2 against Tanner Thomas. And we are 1 strike away, Will, from Jordan Fisher getting the save for the Mountaineers.
Yeah, and Jordan Fisher is out here making the batters look lost right now.
1-2 count for Fisher, 2 outs. Mountaineers lead 12-7. He's trying to stow it away. That one swung on. It's a little blooper towards second base, and Zamora makes the catch, and Mountaineers will win it 12-7. What a catch there by Zamora. He kind of had to backhand that one, but Mountaineers get the win off of a great closer by Jordan Fisher.
Yeah, and that ball almost caused trouble as it was blooped almost perfectly, but Zamora with the range gets there, catches the ball, and ends the game.
Saturday, tomorrow, Mountaineers will face Gardner-Webb again. It'll be David Katzenmeyer and Bobby Phillips on that call. Mountaineers improve to 5-4 on the year. That game on Saturday will also be at 3 p.m. You won't want to miss any of the action. Will, any final thoughts here?
I just want to say they came out with an aggressive approach early on offense and defense, throwing strikes right away and swinging the bat right away. And it paid off great for them. And that 5th inning where everything just started clicking and they played just past the baton all the way down the lineup and the runs scored. It was just a perfect case scenario tonight for the App State Mountaineers.
So Mountaineers get the win, 12-7. Will, however, Gardner-Webb had more hits than the Mountaineers. There was a few errors on defense as well. 4 errors for the Mountaineers, 13 hits for Gardner-Webb. And that was what made this game so much closer than it had to be.
And the big difference was the extra base hits for the Mountaineers. That's what really put them over the edge compared to Gardner-Webb. Gardner-Webb might have had more hits, but App State had more of the big hits.
Some offensive leaders for the Mountaineers. John Kramer had 3 RBIs. Cameron Miller had 4 off of a home run by him. Tyler Lichtenberger had 2 RBIs himself. John Kramer, will 3 for 4 on the day, but I want to give my MVP to Riley Left, who not only had a triple earlier, but made that diving catch into right field. The true freshman, are you kidding me?
And that catch could have just won us the game, really, because that would have swung momentum tremendously because Gardner-Webb had runners on base. So that could have just completely changed the game. So, yeah, I agree. Riley Left is just that guy.
So that'll do it from here at Jim and Betty Smith Stadium. The Mountaineers beat the Gardner-Webb Running Bulldogs 12-7. We'll be back tomorrow for more baseball action on 90.5 WASU tomorrow. But for now, that'll do it here from Jim and